Nomad at Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, 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 what's up, Nomaniacs? This is Nomad at Night. I'm your host, Nomad. I got my guys here with me. My guy Triple R is with us once again, and J2K. And we also have some special guests sitting behind the scenes right now that I'm going to bring up in just a second. Just want to say hello to all you guys. I don't know where the Canuck is, and I hope everything is going well with him. Haven't had a response from him, and that's kind of not like him. And so, yeah, hopefully everything is good with kids, and he'll pop in at some point during the show, man. But, hey, thank you guys for coming. Let me give a few shout-outs for kids since he's not here. I'm just going to speak to the ones I see. I see Cornelius Squalls. I see Brian, who's a member. He's also a member of the Nomad Network. Squeegee. Nobody's coming out, man. I was coming out talking about going live. Plankster. Armando Jr. So, Jr. Let me see. Jason. Let me see here. Patty, Queen P. Smitty. What's going on, everybody? These are just the ones I see right now. Great show tonight. So, y'all ready for some football, man? Because I am. I'm extremely ready to talk some football because football is right around the corner for us. Training camp is going to get very, very interesting this year. I think this, and I've said this multiple times on multiple shows, I believe this is going to be probably one of the more competitive training camps we've seen in a while. I'll just say that. I can't say history. I'll just say in a while. I think this is going to be a highly, highly competitive training camp, and that's exactly what you want. But in a minute, I'm gonna put on the ticker across the bottom of the screen the names and numbers of the people we want to talk about. We will probably talk about additional people other than the ones you see on the ticker on the bottom of the screen. But yeah, this is going to be some interesting stuff to see if some of these guys that we have such high hopes about make this roster, man. And so, without further ado, let me pass it over to Triple R, man. Give out some pleasantries right quick.
What up? Thanks, Nomad, J2K, and the whole Nomad at Night posse and all the Nomaniacs. Glad to be back in the place. It's like home, other than, being at where you can find me at Sports Chicago Style. That's the channel on all social medias. So, yeah, we're going to talk about the youngsters, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of these battles because of what Ryan Poles has put together over his, few seasons here. And now the competition level is that much higher. And if his history of being able to locate the gems in these, later rounds or in the draft in general, keeps up, we could be looking at some really, talented players. And I'm looking forward to it.
So what say you, J2K?
Hey, what's up, Nomaniacs? Good to see you guys all again. Appreciate you all hanging out. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. It is hot, hot, hot where I'm at, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty hot for all you guys. So hope you guys got into the pool, got into some AC, whatever you could do to cool down. Summer's just beginning. I'm pretty hyped up with this roster as well as Triple R and Nomad. It's probably one of the better rosters we've seen in a long time. It's going to be hard for some guys to make this team. We might get some surprises, but tonight we will break it all down and see who everybody's got as their favorites to make this roster.
So the Canuck just fell into the building. I'll let him bring himself on when he's ready. But in the meantime, in between time, let's bring on a very new Nomaniac. Not new to anybody in the chat, but new as a person on the show. Let me get the right screen up so he can get on there. We got my guy, the Naj. The Naj, if you want to, you go into your edit, where you see that microphone is, you see those three buttons, and you'll see an edit, and you can actually put your name there so people can see your name, if you don't mind. Can you hear me, Naj?
Yeah, I can hear you. Under settings?
Yeah. No. Down there where you see yourself, you see those three buttons.
Okay.
Three dots next to the microphone. Just go into settings and it says edit. I think it says edit, name on avatar or something like that. And
Okay.
you can put your name in there and just save it. But while you're doing it, I'll give him an introduction. So the Naj is he's one of the Nomaniacs, man, that he's always here, every show, always a part of what we're doing. He's part of our community, and part of that community that we're building. And like we always say, we always want to give, the Nomaniacs that follow us and keep up with what we do opportunities to get on the broadcast and see if they like, doing live podcasts. And that's what this is today. So we welcome the Naj right now. Do us a favor, guys, in the chat, man. Welcome Naj nicely to the show, man. I think he's going to do well, man. He's got some broadcasting chops. So I think we got a good one here, man. I think it should be a fun show. And also, while the Naj is doing that, we got one of my other favorite people right here. My guy, PJ, as you guys know him.
What's happening, people?
PCP
PJ
came to join us and chop it up with us. We haven't had a chance to. When the last time were you here, PJ? The first show or something like that?
It's been a while. It's been a while ago.
Yeah. So I haven't talked to PJ in quite some time, man, and I could not wait to talk to PJ again, talk some football, and I know he's going to be excited about the stuff we're talking about tonight, wanting to know what we have and some of these players that we have. So it's going to be a fun conversation. Kids, whenever you want to, you can jump in, man, and get in.
Really appreciate you having me on, man.
There's Canuck, you on mute, brother. Hold on.
Then I bumped PJ right off. It's like a real episode of BCP. Hey?
Welcome in, PJ.
Yo.
Goodbye.
Wow. Full house. Good to have you, the Nudge. First time meeting.
Hey,
Great to
brother.
meet you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Good to
Welcome. Fashionably late as always, right?
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, that's Caribbean time as we know it in the Caribbean.
There you go.
CP in the further north. But hey, it is what it is. I am here. We are ready to chat it up, and great to see my guy PJ with us, and my guy Triple R. No love for you, Don Burr in the chat. If you're in the chat, just for for all good pretenses. And my guy J2K's with us. Nomad's with us. Jeez, the chat is really hopping right now. I would get to all you guys, but let's talk Bears. We got a lot of heads here. Let's get into it. Nomad, what do you got to say, brother?
How about we give the Naj his opportunity to introduce himself to the Nomaniacs in an official way. Go ahead, Naj. Just tell them a few things about yourself if you want.
Well, I've come and gone. I played special teams in high school. Played a little center, played a little linebacker. But I'm pretty much a special teams guru. I was captain my senior year. Grew up in Western Michigan, just north of Holland, south of Muskegon. I just turned 60. Been pretty much a Bears fan, actually an NFL fan my whole life, but I really took into the Bears when I was in college. That '85 team was the real deal, I should say. Keep it PG. And worked a little bit all over the country in Michigan, Wisconsin, and in the Chicago area. And just I've always liked the Bears growing up, and just glad to be here and get to meet everybody and just kind of mix it up a little bit. And right now I'm in just north of Daytona Beach in Florida. So little humid here today, but we got the AC cooking, so doing good. And bear down, everyone.
Hey, and thank you for coming, Naj, one more time, man. Everybody likes to watch podcasts. Everybody thinks they want to be part of podcasts, but then they get on podcasts and find out that it's a different animal, And I think something tells me Naj has the chops, he has the confidence, and he's not bothered by this at all. So I really look forward to Naj. Enjoy yourself for the most part, and it's going to be fun anyway. But so everybody just let's just see how Naj goes tonight, man. I really think he's going to do well. But again, thank you for coming. But PJ,
Yes, sir.
Man, why don't you tell people what you got going on, man? Because I don't know. I'm not going to say everything that we were talking about privately, but what I found particularly rewarding just listening to you as a dad and a granddad, man, some of the stuff you're doing with the grandkids, I think is super damn cool, and it's worth doing. And I don't know how many people know that you have that going on. If you want to share.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. What I do is I spend a lot of time with my grandsons. I have like 13 grandchildren. Um, Four of my older ones played football for this high school where I'm from, and so I'm spending a lot of time with the football team, interacting with the players, the coaches, kind of like a mentor state slash coach state. um, I get a chance to talk spiritually to them as well as just about life. I mean, life questions that teenagers have when they have these hormones and things like that going on and need some guidance and instruction. So I get a chance to do that. I'm grateful to the coaching staff to allow me to do that, to where I'm truly involved with them, so much so that they have a nickname for me, called me Pops out there. The players do. So I'm grateful for that, and I truly thank God for the opportunity.
That's a cool thing because in this day and age, so many well, not this day and age, but in the last 30 years, so many kids were having kids
Oh
that
yeah,
there was no maturity and the wiseness of the years being handed down. So to be able to do that to a lot of these kids who probably have no fucking clue what it's like to, have the mentorship. And so that's
yeah.
some good shit, my man. Good
Well,
shit.
thank you, man. I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, PJ and I talked about an hour on just that. You know what I mean? And what I found rewarding about it is how many similarities we have with the stuff that we do. As anybody that's new to the show, if you didn't know, I spent a lot of years in my life being a counselor and mentor to young people, and I know how important it is. Everybody wants to see change. Everybody wants to talk about change, but I'll tell you how change happens is when you actually put your hands on people. And I'm not talking about in a violent or aggressive manner. I'm talking about put your hands on someone's life, especially somebody that's influential. I mean, be easily influenced, and that would be a teenager or someone younger than that. Even some of the early 20-year-olds. You know what I mean? You have to touch some of that too. But what PJ is doing with his grandchildren, I think is special because him being the person that he is, he knows the pitfalls. He knows the pitfalls, and he knows that if you don't put your hands on those young ones and start steering them, those pitfalls are easy to fall into. And I know that's the heart and soul of what he's thinking and why he's doing what he's doing, trying to make sure they stay on the path that's righteous for them and get them to where they need to be and see all the opportunities that life has for you. So I relate to PJ in a deep level, man. He had me thinking about a lot of stuff when we were talking. So PJ, for myself and everybody over here, and I'm sure I can speak for everybody watching the show. Thank you for what you're doing for those young boys, man.
I really appreciate those kind words, man. Thank you very much.
All righty, man. Y'all ready to talk about some football, man? Because I'm ready.
Let's get it.
What I'm about to put on the screen is some names, some numbers of people that you need to get familiar with. All the names, but I don't know if you guys knew all the numbers. And so what we have first, let's just go from the first name and move on down the line, man. Triple R. I wonder what you really think of that young quarterback that we just drafted. I mean, just that UDFA we just got, Austin Reed. I just want
Yeah,
to know what you think and what do you think his chances are making the team and bumping Tyson Bagent or this other guy getting on there?
the only way I can see Tyson Bagent getting bumped is if he gets traded for like a higher pick. I mean, he was a UDFA, so if a team needs a quarterback, which he's proven he can be, you know, and if he's trade bait, and then we just get a kind of a revolving youngster door quarterback. But other than that, it's like maybe third string. or a practice squad, but I don't know how the practice squad is working with quarterbacks nowadays. If they really want to, develop him as possible backup or possible starter or whatever. And, I don't know what the goal is, because you draft Caleb Williams at number one, you're planning on him being your starter for a few years. And so that second, third quarterback slot is don't know the plan. And so without seeing, Reed get a shot, in the league, because it's all going to be fast to him. It's going to be his first time playing if he does play, which I really hope he doesn't. But it's like Tyson Bagent seems to have that number two position locked down, and then Rippin, he has more experience, but I think we know what he is, and it ain't all that. So Reed could be number three, but I don't know how the keeping him on the roster versus practice squad would work.
Let me, if you guys don't mind, because we're going to you next, J2K. Let me read Jason with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate it. Jason says, I feel this year was the plan 2 years ago. Luce learns to be a head coach, and Williams was always the plan. They gush over Caleb Williams, and they didn't with Justin Fields. To me, this is year one with Flus. Man, you know what? I tend to agree with that on a certain level, man. You know why? Because, if in order to really be able to judge Flus needed all the tools that, is required for a coach to succeed. And so you're right, man. The whole time Justin Fields was here, he was playing with a partial deck, and so was Eberflus. And so to from that standpoint, I think you could look at this as year one for Flus, but I don't think. I wonder, J2K. You think the front office looks at it that way?
I love this comment, and thank you very much, Jason, for your contribution. That last line there, to me, this is year one with Flus. I would actually extend that to the whole team, because what we saw Ryan Poles do was completely tear down this team, and he's rebuilt it to a point that you could call this year one of going forward. Caleb Williams in the building. We've got far better coaching below Flus than we had the first 2 years, and those first 2 years were rebuild years, so we didn't get the best coaches off the market. This year we got some great new coaches. I'm super excited, and I think Jason is dead on here that this is kind of year one for the Chicago Bears in this era.
I think it's a hell of a comment. Anybody want to have a piece to say on that? Go right ahead. I think I never looked at it that way, but that's a hell of a way of looking at it.
I actually believe kind of differently, because I'm fearful. I mean, if I'm being honest, is that
PJ, before you go any further, I miss you, bro. It's been I know exactly where you're gonna go. It's been a long time, and you just go down that road. I'm glad I don't have to go down this road, because I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to PJ. The floor is yours, brother.
Yeah. See, the fear I have is the whole quarterback comes in after the head coach has been here, and if that head coach doesn't have immediate success this year with Williams, I'm wondering whether or not he's going to be on the chopping block. I mean, and then the same cycle that we always go through, where rookie quarterback comes in, team doesn't perform up to expectations, the head coach goes. So I'm just saying, because we've been ranked last in sacks the last couple of years. So even with Montez Sweat, we didn't address that other one. I mean, if you want to say we addressed it with Booker, I would disagree, because he's, to me, is a project. So I don't expect him to come in and contribute greatly right now. So if the defense really doesn't take that next step, where's that going to leave Flus? And that's what I'm concerned about, because now if Flus defense isn't performing the way we want it to, is he going to be out the door? And then we're looking for another head coach come next year?
See, you thinking like me, PJ. I said this a while back, Jason. If I'm of the mindset before I seen you say this that Flus would catch the first stray if things didn't get off to a good start.
Right.
And I'm about 50-50 now that Jason said this, because that is another way of thinking about the whole situation. But yeah, to PJ's point, I don't know how Flus survives. I don't think one of those coordinators or anybody like that gets it. I think it's Flus, man. And that's unfortunate, man, but it's a 50-50 proposition anyway,
Yes.
just because of the way Jason presented this. But anybody else want to respond to Jason's point, man? Go ahead.
Naj.
Nod, you got anything on this?
I first want to say thanks again, Jason, for the donation. Very generous, great input. I've never really looked at it this way, but you make some really good points. I think the slate it's almost clean for Flus, but he's a player's coach. He should be getting the best out of his players, but I like how Poles has sprinkled in some good veterans and all of the different position groups. So to me, those are also kind of like coaches within the team that can mentor a lot of our younger players. So I like where this team's at. I just hope they put their best foot forward this year, play tough, get some turnovers, and especially defense. They got to really get cooking early while we, see this offense come to fruition like we think it's going to be. And that's pretty much all I can say. But I don't think Flus right now is on the hot seat, but let's see where we're at like halfway through the season and go from there.
Yeah, I hope you're right, man, because it would almost be unfair to Flus, man, because he has played with a partial deck. He's done the best that he very, very well could under the circumstances. And but I know if it gets off to a rough start, man, somebody's dome gonna roll. You know what I mean? Because there's too many expectations out there. It's
Exactly.
unfortunate, but that's how this league works, man. Somebody has to take that hack. And so let's get back to that question, J2K, about Austin Reed, because I kind of know where you're gonna go, but I want you to reiterate it for the viewers, man. Let me see what your take is on this.
Yeah, I think we've talked about him quite a bit. Cornelius Squall's posted in the chat. He's got a great arm, and he does. He's got a very good arm. I liked how he played the game. I thought he played very headsy. He read the field well. While he isn't an athletic quarterback, he's got some good mobility. He knows when to break the huddle or break out of the pocket. He will lower his shoulder, which is nice to see. I think the biggest question marks is, how much of a jump is the NFL from college? And he came from, I believe, a Division II school to a Division I school, lit it up both schools, and now he's in the NFL. So I'm very optimistic about Austin Reed and excited to watch him in preseason to see how he does.
All right, P, what do you think about Austin Reed?
Well, the question that comes from my mind for Austin was whether or not he will beat out Rippon for the third quarterback spot. I think Bajan is pretty much a lock as a second stringer. But the question becomes, will Austin Reed beat out Rippon? Rippon had a year experience, I believe, with working with Waldron before, so that may give him somewhat of a edge up. But I like the talent that I've seen in Austin because he had that wide receiver. What's his name? Was it Curly or something like that?
You got me stuck.
Malachi Corley?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that he was really good run after the catch. That
Yeah,
wide receiver.
Macaulay Corley. Yeah, you got
Curly.
it, PJ.
Yes, Curly.
Yeah, great combination.
Yes.
Yeah, loved watching that.
Yeah, so I mean, I see the potential there. I just wonder whether or not, given the circumstance, because Rippon has that year of experience with Waldron, whether or not they'll try to keep him over Reed.
Yeah. What do you think about Austin Reed, Notch? Notch. No,
I think he's got potential, but I really can't see him making this roster. I could see him as a practice squad guy for sure. But I just feel like Bajent did enough last year with a 2-2 record, and he's got, it looks to me like from the videos this camp, he's got still a pretty good zip on the ball. So I think he's a lock to make this team, and I wouldn't trade him. He's got potential. He's young. Like I said, he was 2-2 last year, and when he was in college, he played for multiple coaches. So I think he's a quick learner, and I just think he's a lock.
What say you, kids?
Basically all the same stuff everybody else said. I'll just be short and sweet with it. If he beats out Ripken, it's really because Ripken is more likely there just to help these guys along with the offense in the early phases of the of training camp and maybe early into the season. But I don't really see Ripken being with the team beyond training camp. That's just me. I think he's around, helps these guys acclimate, and then unfortunately for him, he's either on the practice squad or he's out. I think they probably wind up keeping Reed if they can as a developmental prospect, but that's where I am with it.
All right, I'm gonna take I'm gonna dive in here right quick and try to give you guys a viewpoint that maybe not everybody's thinking about. So when you have Bajent and you're happy with what you have, and the offensive coordinator who is new that you just brought in feels okay about Tyson Bajent, you don't even use one of those valuable UDFA spots to get a quarterback. That's number one, because there's several guys on that list in their board in their offices that they could have used that UDFA spot on and used those dollars to sign. Several guys. They chose a QB. That tells me that the offensive coordinator had a particular guy in mind, and that is Austin Reed. Who Tyson Bajent is versus Austin Reed, they're both starting, kind of on an even plane. The advantage that Tyson Bajent has, he's got 3-4 starts in the NFL. That gives him an advantage. So how does the offensive coordinator, the new offensive coordinator, see that? I don't know that if the offensive coordinator saw Tyson Bajent the way the fans saw Tyson Bajent. Does he see Austin Reed in another light? This guy I think fits well in what I want to run versus a Tyson Bajent. And so I think they don't even use that UDFA pick on Austin Reed if they felt like the fans think about Tyson Bajent. I believe that this is the guy they had their eye on to back up Caleb Williams. Him and Caleb Williams are supposedly friends, and they hung out and they train together and do all that kind of stuff. And so relationships are very important when it comes to football and football teams. Those guys that you have in your ear when you're a quarterback, those guys that you go see on the sideline. Not saying Tyson Bajent is a good guy. Not saying that whatsoever. What I'm saying is the connection that Caleb Williams may have with this young guy, and maybe the promise that Matt, what's his name? Waldron's, whatever his first name is, Shane Waldron might think that Austin Reed has. I think we're going to find out real quick. I think they had their eye on him the whole time. And I think at some point, as much as we like Tyson Bajent, I think he'll be a piece that might get moved later on. I could be totally wrong. Tyson Bajent can go out there and light it up. I'm just taking you into the mindset of when you have UDFA spots to fill, they were only going to sign a certain amount of people. Why in the hell, with the team needs that we have, would you sign a quarterback with that pick unless you didn't plan on this guy making that roster? So that's
Nomad.
Go ahead.
Really quick. So we kind of, I think we know that Tyson Bajent was a Luke Getsy guy. I think
Right.
Getsy liked Bajent, went after him, got him as a UDFA. And this is to the chat too. Would you guys make a move, maybe mid-season, early season, trade Bajent and a draft pick to the Raiders to get Max Crosby? Would
They
you do
won't.
that?
They won't give him up.
BJ, kill me here. You're like, nope.
With the M80 from.
I mean, with all due respect, J2K, you know I respect.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
I have a nephew who's a big time Raiders fan, and I was throwing out scenarios about making trades with him. He's like, I can guarantee you that we Raiders is not going to give up on Max Crosby or the wide receiver. He said, now if you guys had a package where you could want Tyree Wilson, he said, will you probably give him up before we would give up Max Crosby?
That's interesting. My thought is that given the time frame, they're in a rebuild. So what are they? It's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out right now. Are they rebuilding? Are they trying to keep the vets? It seems like once they actually become a competitive team, Devontae Adams and Max Crosby are going to be in the low light in their career, basically. So why not move them now to maintain this rebuild? So that's where my question comes from.
So,
all right, I have to crush your dreams here. So, first one is Max Crosby just got re-signed, so it would cost them a monster amount of money to let him go for an undrafted free agent quarterback. This is the craziest take on the planet. This is crazy. This is
and a draft pick, a second or a third.
Mr.
But still,
Shorty, if you're watching, I have to take a cheap shot. This is Mr. Shorty level.
It's a Mr. Shorty take.
That's really what it is. That is Mr. Shorty level Tyson Bagent love right there.
Stop doing
He's
that.
good. He's good. What? What am I saying? Mr. Shorty knows I love him, but he also knows that he loves Tyson Bagent, and that's what I'm trying to say.
Lord.
That's all I'm
Hey,
saying.
look. So, hey, J2K, while it's on you still,
Mm-hmm.
so Scottish Bear is saying, I want to see if you any of you guys are buying this. Scottish Bear is saying the word is the Raiders tried to trade for Bagent, and Poe said no. If that's the case, if that is true, that's just them raising the ante. It's like if you want them, you're gonna have to pick it up a little bit. It's just not gonna be,
I think they really like Bagent, and I did hear some rumors saying that there is absolutely zero quarterback competition for obviously Caleb Williams before that number 2 spot with Bagent. And I think they really, really like the kid. I really like the kid. I think Austin Reed is actually a great pickup. And in a different roster situation, I could see him possibly making the team, or at least because of the rules of the NFL right now, you can have a practice squad quarterback be your third quarterback and suit up for game day. And I think that's where Austin Reed ends up. I think Brett Rippon, he's been a camp body for most of the teams that he's ever been with. He's actually never made the 53-man roster or the practice squad. But I think they love the kid's mind. And in a way, I think they're growing him into a QB coach. He's probably still a little young, probably still wants to play, wants his opportunity. But there is a lot of love for that kid in the West Coast offensive scheme coaches and minds and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know.
Trip.
I think they keep Bagent.
Okay. Trip, can you imagine them noses sniffing around for Tyson Bagent in the Raiders camp?
Possibly because their quarterback situation's in a flux, and with Luke Getsy, if Bagent was able to go 2-2, they figure, hey, maybe he could work with him. But I could see if that was the case, I could see Tyson Bagent going to Ryan Poles like, please, dog, don't send me back to him.
Yeah,
I would disagree with that based on the fact that Bagent and Getsy developed a real good relationship, at the Senior Bowl. That's where because Getsy was the head coach for Bajan's team, if I remember correctly. So
Well,
that's
but I
where
mean, let's look at Getsy though, in his offensive mind. It's like, let's throw 17, screen passes. Let me throw over the middle of the field that they are clogging up, and all the routes are going there. So it's like his offensive scheme had its flashes, but as a young quarterback, it's like, do you see Luke Getsy being an offensive coordinator that's like, yeah, I'm gonna make my bones with this dude.
Well, you got me there.
Go ahead, Naj. I'm just wedging the opening for you, man. If you want a piece of that,
I'm just really worried about having Reed and Williams. You got two quarterbacks with no experience, and I just don't see it. And I'd rather have just two quarterbacks have another open roster spot for someone like a defensive lineman that we're going to need in the fourth quarter that can make a stop and put us in a better situation to win a game, which was one of our biggest problems last year, is closing out games.
So you know what? I'm glad you said that, Naj, because one of the points I made about this has been a conversation we've had before. One of my points was I think they end up with a veteran quarterback. I don't know if it's Ripien. If it's Ripien, good. If they keep three quarterbacks, good. I think they should. But I think there needs to be a veteran on this roster. I don't know how you go into the season without a veteran on the roster. Who that veteran is, who knows? But I think you have a great point, and I have made that point before. You need a veteran on this roster, a veteran that really knows that role. So, to that point, man, that's a very good point. I'll just say that. And so, all right, man.
Can I add one more thing?
Go ahead.
Sorry about that, man. But because of the new rules regarding the practice squad and the third quarterback, I see as only having two quarterbacks, being Williams and Bajan, and Reed will be a practice team quarterback. But what the rule is, you can keep him on the practice squad, but you can bring him up every week, and he would be the emergency quarterback in case that somebody goes down or something. Then he can play, so he can stay on the practice squad. So I'm not saying that I would think he's on the regular 53-man roster. He would be on the practice squad, but he'd just be active he'd be the emergency quarterback every game day.
So PJ, only problem with that is I don't think one thing I know about offensive coordinators and how much time they spend with quarterbacks, it's like an investment. It's like a real investment. They spend a lot of time with these quarterbacks. I mean, a lot. They pour into these dudes because it takes a lot to get on an NFL field, even a college field. Where I played on, it takes a lot of input and a lot of back and forth. And you put all that into a guy and spend all that time with the guy. Last thing you want to do is start all over if you drop this dude off on a practice squad. You know what I mean? Hoping that you can keep him. You know what I mean? That's the only problem I would have with that way of thinking. Would be that, you know what I mean? They don't want to have to keep starting over because we dropped the guy off on the practice squad. So, it's tricky. And I'm just interested to see what happens. That's just the way I see it playing out. I do think they need a veteran of some type. Whoever that veteran is, it probably won't be Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill probably sees himself as a starter still. And you don't want that backing up Caleb Williams and all that kind of stuff. If he struggles, people will be crying, hey, put Ryan Tannehill in, and it's going to be a shit show. So whoever the quarterback is, when it's a veteran, it's got to be the right guy. And so, that's not the easiest thing to find out here. There's a bunch of clipboard holders, but not the right guys. But let's get to the next guy. Who's the next guy on the list? Let me let this thing cycle through because I believe it was Reddy's number 33. Nope. Yeah, it's number 33, Ian Wheeler. And I'm just going to say nothing and pass it on the Trip and let me see what Trip thinks about this guy's opportunity here.
Well, he's a running back, correct?
Yep.
So it's like, and he's a special teamer. So, Travis Homer, are you on the bubble or Khalil Herbert? Are you on the bubble? Because Herbert gets dinged every year and he's going into a contract year. Are we going to re-sign a running back or ship him out and bring in youth? Travis Homer is a special teams guy, is, he the replacement for him and you ship him out. So it's one of those two guys I think would be the competition. And depending on like with these new special team rules and how that works, this kid could have the opportunity to, bump one of those guys. J2K?
Yeah, I think I'm a little more bullish on Wheeler than most people, but I loved what I saw from the game tape of him. A great special teamer, great speed. Kind of reminds me of a Marion Barber with speed, running back. I just question why he wasn't used at running back as much. I did see a few receptions from him where I thought he had good hands. He was a hand catcher and good power. He's not the biggest guy, but he's very compact. So, I like Wheeler. It's just my question is he's got to win at some point in the running back room before he can just outright win in the kick return room, just because that is a loaded room. So my question is there a competition between him and Travis Homer? Homer makes quite a bit more than Wheeler. I know they love Homer, so it's going to be one of these training camp battles. See it in preseason. Does this guy light it up or not? We'll see. What do you think, PJ?
I'm I'm looking at the relationship between Travis Homer and Shane Waldron again. They were together in Seattle, and now he's coming here. So I'm wondering, is it a strong enough relationship to overcome the amount of money that he's making compared to what Wheeler will be making? So I think it comes down to that, and that's to me is where it comes down to is whether or not how Shane Waldron is feeling about Travis Homer.
What do you say, Naj?
Yeah, I pretty much concur with that. I was kind of disappointed last year with Homer as a running back, but he's really good on special teams. He's a thumper. He can force fumbles. He's a tackling machine. So, but Wheeler, I really don't know much about him. I know he was a kick returner at James Madison, and I saw his interview. He's very articulate. I love the kid, but Homer's not that old either, and it's gonna be a battle for Wheeler to bump him up. Even though Homer's making quite a bit of dough, I just want to see how each of them plays at a running back level in preseason and go from there. So I'm kind of indifferent about it right now, but I like both guys.
Go ahead, Canuck.
Yeah, indifferent's a good word. I'm kind of right there. I'm kind of right there with him with Ian Wheeler. I mean, tape looks solid, good special teams value. So the question is, who provides more special teams value between him and Travis Homer, weighted against the fact that Travis Homer is going to cost you a fair amount more. So I don't expect to see Travis Homer here. I also don't, very similarly, I don't expect to see Kari Blasingame. So, if you're including fullback into that running back room, there might be room for Ian Wheeler and a Travis Homer. I'm not sure how much special teams value we got out of Kari Blasingame last season, but I don't think they're going to carry a fullback this year either.
I would like to. Can we table the Blasingame conversation till after the list? I would love to. Yeah, let's do that. Awesome.
J2, where's this guy? Where's Nomad?
My bad. I had it on mute, man. I had to move around for a second. Truthfully told, I had to crack a beer. But listen, here's what I think is going to happen for Ian Wheeler. Number one, he's going to have to focus on special teams. He's going to have to be more of a dog than Travis Homer. Kids is absolutely right about the contract situation. We spoke to that before. It comes down to dollars and cents. Do you want to save money and put somebody on a rookie contract? I think Homer makes a little bit more than what Ian Wheeler is scheduled to make, and so
Quite a bit more, actually.
Yeah.
But
maybe and you know what? And I don't want to take anything away from Travis Homer. I just want you guys to understand how coaches view special teams and how important it is to them to be solid on special teams. This is real for them. They don't want to give up plays on special teams. And so what do? You buy insurance pieces. Travis Homer is one of those guys. So it's not like Ian Wheeler is not a good running back. He's a very good running back. He's going to have to make some plays in that department. So when he's given his opportunities during preseason and during camp, he's going to have to make explosive plays. That's his one leg up. But the second leg up, he's going to have to be more dominant. He's going to have to literally beat out a veteran who makes his living on special teams, and that is Travis Homer. And he gets paid a little bit more money because he's worth it. And so I don't want to minimize who Travis Homer is in relation to this team because we like Ian Wheeler. I think Ian Wheeler's a dope running back. But I'm just telling you, I'm laying out to you guys what I think coaches look at when it comes to the comparison. He's going to have to flat out beat him to make this team. I can see him getting stashed on a practice squad roster of some sort, maybe, but he can flat out beat Travis Homer as well. And so if he's more explosive in special teams, he makes explosive plays in preseason and in camp, Travis Homer could be out of the door. And they feel more secure with the UDFA, and that makes a little less money. So that could happen. So does he have a chance to make the team? Yes. He's going to have to fight like a dog, to be flat out honest with you, in order to get it. Other than that, I think they keep Travis Homer, and this guy makes the practice squad. That's what I think of the whole situation. As well as I think of Ian Wheeler, I think he's got an uphill battle. So let's get to the next guy, who I don't know who that is because, let me see. I think it's Peter LeBlanc, Triple R.
Yeah. So wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting room right there. Because you got your veterans, you got your rookie, Odunze, and you got DJ, you got Keenan Allen, and then I really expect Scott to take a step up. Velas, who the fuck knows? So, there could be an opportunity there for Mr. White. Oh, I'm sorry, LeBlanc. So that was a shout to you kids, Frenchie. So that's a possibility. Depending on his special teams acumen as well. If he can be more versatile on more than just as a receiver, he could have some value beyond Velas. And so, yeah, that's going to be interesting. J2.
So who LeBlanc reminds me of, and this is a blast from the past, Mike Haas. Do you remember Mike Haas? He was a UDFA, went through preseason. He was on the Bears, 10 years ago or something. But just, a savvy route runner, not the biggest guy, not the tallest guy, not the fastest guy, but just a guy who gets open, has good hands. It's such a crowded receiver room. And because, I would need to do a little more research to see how well he did punt returns, kick returns. But because it's such a crowded room, and I don't think he's a threat for the position at kick return or punt return, I do see him as a practice squad guy. But, he's one of those guys that I do root for. PJ, what do you think about LeBlanc? You're on mute.
You muted, P.
I know very little about this guy, so I have really no opinion about him at all right now. So that's where I'm at. Sorry. What you got there, Notch?
He's a hell of a golfer. I know that much. And I want to give a quick shout out to Adam Mason. He corrected me politely without calling my name out that Wheeler went to Howard, correct? I had the wrong university. Yeah. So I I stand corrected. Big shout out to Adam Mason, straightened me out. He's up in he's got his own podcast. He's up in Nevada near Las Vegas. So good to have you on board watching the show. And LeBlanc, he's an athletic guy. Good possession receiver is the way I see him. He's got a little bit of length, but it's going to be an uphill battle, I think, for him to make this team.
I'll make my little comparisons. It's you guys are going to be surprised. I compare him to the tape that I was watching of Puka Nacua. That's who he kind of reminds me of. And I'm not trying to sit here and say he's going to be the next Puka Nacua. Remember, Puka Nacua was a pretty late round draft pick when he got selected, even though he crushed it last season. He just happens to be in the right place at the right time, just a little bit away and separating from a DB. That's just generally how he plays football. I'm not sure if he's very fast. I don't think he is. He's not very tall. You know, there's really nothing special about him, except for the fact that he just seems to be wide open and catching football. So, like, I got to put it, I got to give him the little bit of love that I do. But yeah, we'll see if he gets into that room, man. That room is crazy, right? Like, that's a tight room to get into. You are pushing around Velus Jones. You're pushing around Tyler Scott, Dante Pettis. They just brought in Carter. So, like, if we were talking about special teams value a minute ago, that might be one way you can break onto this team, and you got three guys in front of you who have special teams value. So if Peter LeBlanc's a kick returner, which I didn't see, might make things a little bit easier on him. Again, this guy he's just wide open in the field catching footballs, and it baffles me. So, you know, give the kid a little bit of love. We'll see.
So my take on this is very, very simple. And by the way, MC Fact is right, man. Please stop what you're doing, man. We're going to be here for a while. Stop, pull out for a second. Go hit the like button for us, man. Go hit that like button. And if anybody in here is new to the channel, anybody within the sound of our voice, please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. We are trying to get to 2,000 before the season starts, actually before training camp. But you guys, come on, help us out here, man. We're trying to build a great community. I know you guys love the shows that we do. We love you guys for supporting us. So let's make sure everything is reciprocated, man. Hit the like button and go out into the YouTube channel and hit the subscribe, man. We're trying to build a great community here. Do your part to help us out, man, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. And so,
Adam Mason, shout out to you for representing in the chat there, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you, Adam, man. Appreciate you a lot. Listen, this is what I think about Peter LeBlanc. It's guys like him every year. I think this one's going to come down to relationships. In relationships, I mean connection to the quarterback. Will he get reps with Caleb Williams? When that preseason game happens, that first preseason game, you can imagine that Caleb Williams and that offensive line is going to see a lot of reps, right? Everybody can imagine that because they all need it, all of them, every last one of them. And I can see some of the star receivers, DJ, Keenan, Rome, and those guys not getting as many reps as, you know, the offensive line and Caleb. And so they start putting in some of these receivers that they want to give looks to. And so I see this guy, I think he hangs around. Not makes the cut, but I think this cat can make at least a practice squad. I think he can make at least a practice squad. I think he's got, we're going to get into a whole conversation about Velus and what I think they might do with him. But this cat has got some traits about him that I like, man. He's big, he's long. He finds, like Kid says, he finds his way to open spots, makes himself an obvious target, finds holes in zones, man. Dudes like that. I play with dudes like that. Not the biggest, not the fastest, but always finding themselves open. That's eye candy to a quarterback. And so that's why I bring in the connection, the relationship. Can he build one with Caleb Williams? Just by strength of him always finding spots for him to sit down into and Caleb give Caleb a good lane to pass the ball into. And so I think it comes down to that. Do I think he's got strong enough talent to beat out some guys on this roster? Maybe, but I don't think so. I think he makes the practice squad, and I think he makes the practice squad barely. I'll be honest with you about that. And so the next person I think in line was
Jacob Martin.
Jacob Martin was the next guy. No, hold on. We're about to go through the ticker right now.
No, he's 55.
Let me see.
Yeah, it's Jacob Martin. And he was a signee from Houston.
So now is he an actual linebacker or is he an end edge guy?
Oh, he's an edge.
He's an edge.
All right, so now that's that's competition right there because Walker, and then you sign Booker, then you got the other guys, and now you got him who was a free agent signing, not a rookie. So if he's coming in with some experience and get to the quarterback, he can get a position. So it's wide open for the taking right there. But if he doesn't get a good showing enough in, training camp and preseason, yeah, he's not going to stick. I don't think. J2K?
I'm actually very high on Martin. He was signed to a 1-year contract. A little over $1 million. Half of that was guaranteed. And I've watched some tape of his, and I think he replaces Dominique Robinson. I think him and Booker are going to be in a rotation for that 3rd/4th defensive end after Sweat and Walker. Trust me, you guys, as the season goes on, you will learn the name of Jacob Martin, and you will really like him. I think he's a very underrated signing that we made, and I think that he's going to do very well in a limited rotational role. PJ, you got any insight on Jacob Martin?
Well, I will always refer to J2K's knowledge over mine when it comes to football players. But I will say this: he doesn't fit the typical mold that I see Eberflus liking. He likes length, be it the guy we picked up from Sweat or Javon Dexter. He likes length. Jacob Martin's only 6'2", 242 pounds, so he's kind of light. So I don't know how well he's going to fit within the Eberflus system. But other than that, that's the only negative I would say. But like J2K says, I mean, he has some talent. I just question whether or not he'll be able to fit within this system. Notch?
Yeah, I'm pretty consistent with PJ. He's not real big, 6'2", 242. That doesn't seem to fit Eberflus's scheme at all to me. But if he's got a high motor and can play some special teams and fill in now and then, I mean, he's got a shot. He's been around in the league. He's been in Seattle, a couple other places. So I just kind of see him as a camp body. But on all these guys, they're all good athletes. So it all comes from within. Cream rises to the top always. So but kind of another guy, I'm just kind of indifferent. Let's wait and see how he does. Go ahead, Keds.
So the upside of having so many heads on the show on a Sunday is that it gives me the opportunity to go to Spot Track, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and take a look at the numbers. And the numbers in this situation are somewhat favorable for Jacob Martin. I'll leave them all the specifics out, but he's a decent player. Take a look at some of his actual film. He's pretty decent. He's not as lengthy as the rest of the guys have said here. But if you're going to compare him to a certain somebody who's had the opportunity to play at that position for the last couple of years and not necessarily growing it, he's a heck of a lot cheaper and a pretty good stopgap. That much I'm gonna give him. I'm not so sure he makes it onto the squad, but the numbers are there. Like as far as how much they're going to pay him differently than the other guy. I'm just being a nice guy today because I pick on the guy all the time. That's all.
I'm gonna take such a polar opposite view of kids is gonna be unreal, because what J2K said is right. I've been saying this for months. Jacob Martin is out of all the things that happened during this offseason, and that includes drafting Caleb, drafting Romo Dunze. One of the things that stuck out to me as a win-win-win was getting Jacob Martin to come here for the amount of money we got him for. Dante Purify, I'm with you 110%. This dude is a blur off the line. Okay, to PJ's point about him being 6'2", 6'3", I'm not sure which one that is, so it's in the ballpark. 240 something pounds. Doesn't fit the trait profile that we know Eberflus looks for, right? But remember, PJ, we just brought in Eric Washington. All you have to do is look at some Buffalo tape, and you'll see exactly where someone like him fits in. He's just like having actually Leonard Floyd. Speed, just pure speed off the ball. And that guy that you put in when you need that NASCAR package and you need speed off the ball and getting to that quarterback, closing that, making that cup and closing that circle so those interior guys can get up there and make that push, it's just going to create havoc. Absolutely, he's going to make the team. And he's going to be one of the flat out surprises of everybody. Just like J2K said, it's going to be a pleasant surprise for everybody listening to our voices. I'm telling you, Jacob Martin is going to be a treat to watch. With those big boys we got on the interior, just going to give him that much more of a chance to really get around that corner and make some plays. He's got, man, I'm telling you, is he going to end up being the starting edge? No, I don't think so. I think they got him specifically for a role. Those passing situations, you need speed off that ball. You need somebody to close that gap. And he's athletic and versatile enough. He's that guy that you can drop into a zone. You know what I'm saying? Instead of a Justin Jones, that was some idiotic shit that I can't never get over. If you're going to drop a player with the traits to actually make a play. You know, so if they have him and he's scaring people coming off the line, he's that fast. He's scaring people coming off the line. And then you drop him back once in a while, that quarterback is not going to see that coming because he's going to be worried about him screaming off the edge. And so I see that dual 4-3-3-4 concept that Eric Washington plays his scheme with, him being a vital part of that. So trust me when I tell you, the one thing I heard constantly about, listening to different reporters, that dude was a blur in OTAs, man. So people are talking about him. I think we're going to hear more and more about him as the pass come on. I'm telling you, Jacob Martin is going to be a steal for us this year. I'm saying it right now. And so the next person we got to talk about right now is a lot of people's favorite, guys. A lot of people want to talk about this fella here, and that is Jamry Chroma. So I'm going to pass it the trip because I'm eager to jump on this one.
He's looks promising. He's longer, more to PJ's point of what Flus likes. He's like 6'4", 6'5", or something. He's highly athletic, and he plays a position of need, defensive end. We need, to get those outside guys to the quarterback while the inside guys push. And he's big enough to set an edge, so he wouldn't just be a third down specialist. If he can, become a every down kind of guy, he has the athletic talent, I think, to do that. And like, Dom Robb, who somebody in the comments was just mentioned Dom Robb saying that he's supposed to be bigger and stronger. And it's like, that's cool, but you still got to be able to make the plays and, play the position. And Chroma is more of the actual defensive end than the athlete that Dom Robb is, converting to that position. So I think it's going to be some nice battles going on there. J2K?
I really like Chroma. I really do. I found some tape on him. I actually, when you go and research his tape, look for James Madison, defensive line. There's another kid on that line who they're hyping up. He's a little more of a pure pass rusher, outside linebacker rusher. You'll get a lot of really good tape to watch Chroma from watching the other guys' tape, because Chroma did a lot of the dirty work, took on a lot of double teams. He really collapsed that pocket, but with containment. And to PJ's point about what Flus looks for, Poles looks for, it's that length, it's that containment defensive end. I think we've taken a little bit of shift with Eric Washington coming on board. So now we're looking at a little more speed rushers to get into that NASCAR package, those rotational guys. Chroma to me seems like that perfect kind of defensive end to be a containment guy first and second down. However, and this is just me, I really think that Chroma's best potential to be a long-term player in the NFL is actually at the 3-tech position, because he has great size, he has very good strength. It's just the quickness and the burst as a defensive end, as an edge rusher, it's just not there enough. And there are some plays of him playing on the inside where all those things I talked about were actually highlighted as a 3-tech. And I know a lot of people, I know Greg Gabriel talks, he's a defensive end only, but I do see a potential of him moving to 3-tech if he can get some of that NFL strength on him in the weight room, and being a versatile guy, because the only way he's going to make a team is if he can play inside, outside, all that. I do see him as a practice squad player, but I do have a lot of optimism about him. PJ, what do you think? What have you seen from him?
Before you go, PJ, let me throw this to you, J2K. I can tell you, I look at this might be insignificant to a lot of people. Like, well, why would you pay attention to a number to tell you whether or not a guy should play on the inside or not? So he's going to be wearing number 59. I don't know that if that's significant in terms of will he be playing interior roles or not. But I'm going to pay attention to it because you don't see 59 lining up on the interior very often now, do you? It's usually a guy on the edge or a linebacker, right?
Sounds like a linebacker number to be honest.
Right. Now here's the exception to it. Don Burke, I'm about to give you a shout out, man, and your team. Aleem McNeil, one of the up-and-coming studs in the league, 3-tech, wears number 54. And so I would throw that into you as my own counter contrast to what I just said to you. So and that's to Greg's point about he thinks he's just going to be an edge guy. Go ahead. Anybody wants to speak to that?
Well, I'll say that his measurables being 6'4", 275 pounds. I think I seen someone in the chat said earlier that he's kind of like a DeMarcus Walker 2.0. Based upon those measurables, I can see that. I don't know much about the player, if I'm being truthful here. So I'm going to rely again on Triple R as well as yourself, Nomad, and J2K as far as your knowledge about him. But just his measurables, I think he has the measurables that Flus likes.
Go ahead, Notch.
I really don't know a whole lot about him. That's the James Madison player I had in my mind just a little bit earlier that I had a brain fart on. But what videos I've seen of him, he strictly looked to me like just strictly a bull rusher. And if he's going to be playing outside, he's just going to have to develop some more technique, the swim move, all those other types of moves. So I kind of can see him more of a 3-tech for now, but he's very intriguing. He's got the perfect length and size that you want on our four-man front. And I really hope he makes the team just because he's got a good head, he's got a high motor, and I'm really intrigued by him.
So, kids, before I throw it to you, KQ makes a great point, and this
I'm about to touch it, dog. That was really where I was going with it because
that's important because they pay these guys this much money just to, they could have went anywhere to anybody's training camp. They guaranteed these guys this much money to come to ours. It says something without saying something.
His is a little bit like his contract's a little bit larger than even that. The guarantee is if that's a dead cap that they would pay for him. which is pretty high dead cap for a UDFA, considering what I'm looking at here. But overall deal, signed him to a 3-year deal worth $2.8 million. Almost $3 million for a UFDA. That's pretty crazy, right? So with Chroma, they must see something in Chroma. Let's allow that to play out again. We're a little bit deeper. I kind of see what they saw, but like we'll have to see how it plays out.
So new defensive coordinator, Eric Washington. This is when it solidified to me that they see something in Chroma, and it's Eric Washington with this. I think as a new defensive coordinator, he only had so much sway in that draft board. I mean, in that room, being a new guy to the franchise. Hey, man, we're gonna give you some opportunities and to grab some UDFAs, man. You'll get your pick of at least one or two guys, right? And so when I saw it was Jamry Chroma, one of the first UDFAs that they signed, and for the amount of money, I'm just like, okay, what do we got going on here? It fit right into what I was telling everybody during this offseason about how Eric Washington likes his 3-techs or his edge rushers. He's like Flus in a way, but he's just not hung up on the length part of it, PJ. He's just not hung up on the traits that Flus is hung up on. He wants height, he wants length, those types of guys. And so this is the way I see it. Okay, Eric, you have the type that you like. We're going to give you some opportunities in the UDFA market to get the types that you like. Jamry Chroma is there to push Zach Pickens, Jervon Dexter, and whoever else they got playing at 3-tech. He's also there to push whoever they have there at the edge. He's absolutely, I think, going to play both, given those opportunities. Where he lands and where they use him the most, I don't know. But I think this guy is here to stay. I don't think you give him that much money just to go through your training camp, because he could have taken a contract anywhere else he wanted to. They gave him that money because they see something in him. And who's the comparison that I say all the time that Eric Washington saw in him? So Ed Oliver, so Jamry Chroma is 6'4", 275. I think Ed Oliver, who is one of the better 3-techs in the league, came into the league the exact same, except he was 6'3", 275. He's now 285. And so I think what Eric Washington sees is his next Ed Oliver and Jamry Chroma. And so, we talking about length. This guy's got 35+ inch arms, man. I thought he had stubby arms because they're so big and bulky. This guy's got long arms, man. He's got the length, and he's 6'4". PJ, he's 6'4", and he's got 35+ inch arms.
Yes.
He fits the bill. And he's going to push somebody, and I absolutely think this dude's going to make the team. So that's just my take on him, man. I think Eric Washington found the guy that he was looking for to be a dynamic piece on his defensive front. Now we got to talk about number 69,
Nice.
Deshaun Mallory from Arizona State. Trip, go ahead and take it from there, man.
Well, he's got a cool number, which is nice. But he's a 6'1", heavy guy. So he looks like a little bowling ball there in the middle of the line, kind of like, what was it, Travis Bell last season? A run stuffing kind of young guy. But with the guy that we're going to talk about next after him, plus with the signings that we already have on that line, I could see him as more of a practice squad guy, being, local. He's from, I think, Bolingbrook. And so Poles is always reaching out to the local kids to bring him back. So as far as this season, I don't know. What the hell do I know? But I don't see him making a dent in this roster this season right now. It's just more practice squad.
So I got a quick correction. I thought he was – this is Michael Copeland. I'm responding to Michael Copeland. Hey, hope you subscribe to the channel, Michael, man. Please help us out, grow the community, man. We'd appreciate it. This is the first time I've seen you in here, but he's saying that he was 6'2", Ed Oliver was 6'2", 287. So he said Ed Oliver was I got different information. You're probably right. You're probably right. But I think he's in that neighborhood of what I think he wants out of Jamry Chroma. I think they're the same player. If you look at him on tape, I'm telling you, you can compare. You go look at one set of tape and go look at the other, you'll see the same guy. I promise you that. But you might be right, Michael Copeland. I could be wrong. But go ahead, J2K. We were talking about Deshaun Mallory.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I actually have not looked up Mallory. I think he's just someone who slipped by me a little bit. I know that the Bishop, Keith, was high on Mallory. I'm hoping he saw something in him, and I'm going to do some homework on Mallory because he's not on my radar. PJ, you got something for me?
I've heard a little bit about Mallory being a high motor guy. I think he's out of Arizona State, but his height, his measurables concern me. 6'1", 275. That's kind of small. So I can see at the most him probably making it to the practice squad, but not really pushing anybody, because I think the next guy we'll be talking about being Randolph, he'll be more of the guy to fit that role, because 6'1" is kind of undersized, in
Yeah, and
my
actually,
opinion, for what Flus is doing.
yeah, absolutely. And just to throw this out there, because I didn't have too much to offer you guys, he did run a 5.0 in the 40, which was the fastest of any defensive lineman in the draft. So it sounds like he's a little more of a bowling ball, pit bull in that center of the defensive line. Something you kind of might want as a 3-tech. So there was actually a handful of guys in this draft that I really liked, but they didn't fit. Like just like you're saying, PJ, didn't fit that Eberflus mold
Right.
with the height, but they're very disruptive. So I wonder if, much like Bell was as a late round draft pick last year, we're looking for someone who fits that kind of mold. The Naj, what do you got on Mr.
Really
Mallory?
don't know him
Have you
all that
watched
well.
any of his tape or know much about him?
I really don't really know much about him. I'm a Pac-10 guy or Pac-12 guy, and he kind of slipped underneath my radar. I'm more of a UW guy, more of the the North Division than the South Division of the Pac-12. But if he's got a high motor, he's got a shot. But he just seems to me like he's undersized.
All right.
Bull seems to like undersized, high motor guys, and again, just like Triple R is saying, screams Travis Bell to me. We'll see what it looks like on the field when it comes down to it. But I don't know. I don't have much to say about the tape other than motor.
Kids, can I ask you the question? And I just want to bring you into my way of thinking about Eric Washington, and this is just my view of the Buffalo tape and the kind of guys that he liked on the interior. He wasn't so. You can look at the Buffalo Bills defensive tackles and stuff like that, and you can tell he didn't. I guess he didn't swear by that length thing. I think he identifies with Flus with that, but I don't think he swear by it. But by way of looking at their the traits of his some of his better defensive linemen, man, these dudes, he just needed explosiveness. He was looking for pure explosiveness. They got stubby arms, and so be it. Be explosive, be fast, get to the ball, change the line of scrimmage, move the line back. And so I think they gave him his way in the UDFA market when it came to grabbing these guys from these different places and the traits that they have. When it came to Jamry Chroma, when it came to this guy that we're talking about right now, Deshaun Mallory, and the next guy we're going to be talking about, who is Keith Randolph. I think they gave him his way in the UDFA market. So when you start talking about, what does this guy bring to the table, I keep encouraging everybody, go look at the Buffalo tape. Go look at the Buffalo tape. Eric Washington had no sway in the Bears draft room. He was a newcomer, and they told him, we'll let you have your impact in the UDFA market. These defensive tackles are Eric Washington's guys. I'm willing to stand on. I'll stand on a ledge about that. I believe these are Eric Washington's guys, and in order to understand what he's thinking and what they bring to the table, you have to look at the Buffalo tape. And so, can you understand? Could you even relate to a world that these guys aren't going to look quite like you used to looking at seeing guys in the past? This guy Mallory is explosive, and so was Travis Bell last year. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to ask you that to see if you think that Eric Washington and these guys' different traits, do you think he's having a real big impact on this UDFA market that we just got? Kid, you muted, bro.
Damn it! It's a good play. Like it's a good way to give him the opportunity to have his impression felt on the team. Here you go. Here's some undrafted guys. Make your selections, and we'll see how they fare. It also would explain a little bit of contrast in a guy like Mallory versus a Flus guy, if you will. So we'll see how they perform. Between the two of them, we'll see how they compete. But we are talking about the very bottom of the team here. We'll see if he makes it.
All right. So now we got to talk about number 67. That is $200,000 to just join camp and play a part in our training camp. Keith Randolph trip. So
yeah, he's 6'5", 300 pounds. He's got the size to play in the middle of the line. He can swap out to end when they do the the NASCAR swaps, when they swap the whole line. He wasn't the big name tackle there in Illinois, so he got overshadowed. But I think the big name guy just went down with injury or something, for the season or surgery or whatever the hell. But this guy was solid. He was dependable, all 4 downs. He wasn't a get to the quarterback guy per se, but he handled his area of the field and you didn't get any runners by him. And as much as they invested in him with that UDFA deal, I could definitely see him making the team. J2K?
Yeah, going into this last season, I thought very highly of Keith Randolph, and I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I thought he was in between a 3rd to a 5th round pick going into the season. And I think he's been playing out of position where I think they put him at nose and he did a lot of dirty work, handled a lot of double teams, where his real natural position is at 3 tech. And he's not exceptionally explosive at 3 tech. I think he's a solid all-around player, but he's definitely someone who I believe should have been drafted, and we paid him enough to show that he makes this team. PJ, what do you think of Keith?
I think he's a mountain of a man. I mean, 6'5", 300 pounds. I could see them trying to groom him to be the backup to Billings. So I think he may have a role. I think out of all these players we're mentioning on the D line, he's probably the one most likely to make the team, given the fact that he can probably back up Billings. I mean, we got Pickens, but I see Pickens, that a guy who can play both the 3 technique and the 1 technique. But I think Randolph can be a pure 1 technique to back up Billings.
Oh.
Nod.
Nod, you still there?
Press the wrong button. He's from a good system. He's flexible as far as he can play different positions on the defensive line, but I really don't know much about him. I've seen in the chat that he's somewhat injury prone, so I've got concerns with that, but I just want to see see all these prospects on the defensive line, how they get off the ball. Can they disrupt the pocket? All those types of things. And one of my favorite people that I saw when I lived out in Arizona was Darnell Dockett. He was never really, really big, but he could really move his feet. He was tough. He was disruptive, and he could force fumbles. So a lot of these smaller guys I'm intrigued with too. If they can move their feet, they can be disruptive. They can like you were saying, Nomad. If they can just occupy space and make more room so our linebackers can make plays without having to come off blocks, all those types of things. So I'm really going to pay attention to a lot of these preseason games, see how these guys work out.
Go ahead, Canuck.
Yeah, they threw a bag at this kid too. A little bag, little guaranteed money. The thing about Randolph for me is that he's a local prospect. They probably have had their eye on him a little bit closer and longer than anybody actually thinks. So I'm fully with them. From what I see on tape, he does look like that Billings Part 2, and it's great to have somebody step into that role as needed. But hey, man, I think they see something in him, and I think that's why they threw him a little bit of cash. So I'm with it there too.
All right, here's a couple things that I want to point out, and I want you guys to pay close attention to what I'm saying. Hopefully, they see it this way, because I think a lot of you guys are looking at Keith Randolph as that backup one to Billings. I think a lot of people see it that way, and I just want to caution everybody. He's 6'5", 300. You don't back up a one tech playing at 300. Zero tech, you don't play that at 300. And so, do they see him as? Here's the point that I want to make. Do they see him as a frame that can pack on 20 pounds before we get into training camp and can hold that during training camp? That's a big question. A lot of people can put on 20, 25 pounds. All you got to do is just go to Popeyes every day. Matter of fact, knock people out of line and stay in the Popeyes line. You will gain 20, 25 pounds. You will gain.
I think to address that, though, you got to look at the scientific aspect of it, because they take all the measurements, and they knew that they were talking about it specifically about Javon Dexter. And it's like they put him in the machine and they measured, and it's like, well, this joint's this far apart, so he's going to grow this far and he can build on this much muscle. And I think they would have done the same thing, with Randolph and all these other guys too. So it's like, yeah, he can pack on another 10, 20, 30 pounds and keep his explosiveness.
So you get what I'm saying, Trip? Do they see him as a guy that can pack lean muscle on in a short amount of time and be effective and hold on and maintain that weight? Does that make sense to you?
Well, I think that's kind of Ryan Poles' game plan. All these guys that he's bringing in that are young still have that growth, left in them to be, put on that man muscle, not let that little boy muscle, develop. And they also all have that motor that they're looking for. And so now, instead of like one or two guys having the motor, we got guys with the motor, and we're bringing in more guys with the motor. So I think it's all part of the scientific development from this GM as well. So I think you're right on point with that.
Yeah, I just imagine, I think they feel good about the 3-tech guys that they have. And I think they were looking for a frame that can pack some. I think Keith Randolph has the perfect frame to throw on 20 pounds or 10, 15, or wherever they are imagining that he should be at to be able to back up this role, because they do need another fat boy. They do need another guy to back up somebody who can be strong and explosive at that 1-tech, 0-tech role. I know you want to say something, J2K. I'm going to pass it to you after this, but I think that's what they want out of Keith Randolph, is to have that backup role and have a dual role at 3-tech if needed, but I think they see him more as a body that they can pack on 20, 25 pounds if needed, 10, 15 if needed to back up Andrew Billings. I think he's got the frame to do it and the strength to do it. I just think they just have to pack some weight on him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I am very interested in what they do with Keith Randolph because I thought Dexter was going to be more of a nose and Pickens was going to be more of a 3-tech. But after watching how the training staff and the conditioning, nutrition staff shifted, they kind of slimmed down Dexter, or they replaced fat with muscle. But with Pickens, they had him add a little bit of weight. And that was a little bit opposite of what I thought going into the draft that these guys would play. So with Keith, in college, I saw more of a 3-tech. But given his size, I mean, nearly 300 pounds, 6'4", he could very much be an explosive nose tackle. So I agree with all you guys on where he could line up. And maybe the question is they see how he does at both positions, and then they shift the nutrition, weight gain, strength gain plan to whatever fits him best.
Yeah, I think I know I just gave an interesting take, but I just think you got to think outside the box and try to imagine how these coaches see this guy, the needs. We've got several guys trying to play that role of 3-tech. We've got guys that can challenge each other there. What we do not have, is a guy that can really challenge and back up Andrew Billings. We need that guy. He could be still out there in free agency for all we know, right? He could still absolutely be out there in free agency, but they could see this guy, Keith Randolph, as a guy that we can and work on his body to actually get him where we need him to be. So I just think it's going to be interesting to watch and see how he comes into camp and see what kind of weight he has on him, because you didn't hear a whole lot about him in the OTAs. Maybe they were working on that. That's one of those things I think about. I didn't hear his name at all, and they just paid this guy $200,000 to join our camp. Maybe they see him as that 1-tech. But I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to save this for another show. But here's the next guy we got to talk about. That's linebacker Carl Jones. And I think this is going to go around the board really fast because I don't think you guys think we need another linebacker. So I'm going to start with
it. Between Sanborn, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, if Sewell can stay healthy, Baskerville's a special teams guy. I don't know where he would actually fit unless it would be to battle for the depth or a practice squad, because I just don't see him, cracking any of these starting positions for these linebackers. J2K?
So I really love Carl Jones. I watched his tape at UCLA, and he's an incredibly explosive player. He's a good pass rusher. There's a ton of stuff to love about this guy. For a 3-4, not for a 4-3. So now you got to move him. And I saw Baralissimo talking that most likely he's going to be a weak side linebacker. That's great. I'm a little surprised that he chose to sign with us, given that he's going to shift to a weak side linebacker role instead of going with a 3-4 team where he could be a backup rush linebacker. That's the best position I see. But I really do like the kid. I think there's a lot there. I thought his coverage was a little robotic, and he was most natural as a pass rusher from what I saw. But I think he was actually very underrated, and I was a little surprised he did not get drafted. PJ, what do you think about Carl Jones? Did you watch much UCLA tape of this kid?
I really didn't watch much tape on him, but looking at his measurables once
Hold
again.
on, PJ, can I interrupt you for a second?
Oh, please.
This is our guy, Country Santa, Brian Hendren. He's saying that watch Caleb's highlight versus USC versus UCLA. listen to how many times Carl Jones Jr.'s name is called, almost as much as Caleb. I kind of noticed that, but I'm glad he brought it up. Brian with the dime piece. I just had to get that to you before you start talking, PJ.
Well, we're looking at his measurables. I mean, he's like 6'2", 225 pounds. He had a vertical jump of 34 inches and a broad jump of 10 feet 3 inches. So he has some explosion to him. He ran a 4.52 in the 40-yard dash, I believe. That dude, I mean, that shows some explosion. So if nothing else, I'm thinking he may be able to contribute as a fifth linebacker on special teams, depending on if he beats out the other guy we just brought in this year. But I can see him as a special teams guy per se.
So before you go, Naj, it's important to point out, Do It All 36 said it the right way. I'm just trying to keep the show going. He's right. He was a spy against Caleb. So wherever Caleb went, he was on his ass. And so that's the way that's how you have to play Caleb Williams, man. You gotta keep a spy on him and close the gap on him when he holds the ball too long. But yeah, Carl Jones was all over. He was all over Caleb, man, and everywhere he threw the ball. But go ahead, Naj.
I see Carl as a really good addition to this team. He's got very good athleticism. He's smart, and I was really impressed with UCLA's defense. And that USC game could have gone either way. That was a very good contested game. I hope he makes the team because I'm really intrigued with him, and I could just see him balling on the kickoff team, especially. He'd be a good addition to this team.
Well, you guys really sold me on that. So maybe he winds up getting into this linebacker room. There's no way he's getting into this linebacker room. I'll leave it right there. I think he's more practice squad, considering how well he played against Caleb. The challenge that he did give Caleb, it's a great way to iron versus iron, throw him in the middle of the field, and again give Caleb the opportunity to learn how to beat somebody who provided that type of challenge. But I think we have one of the stronger linebacking cores in the NFL. I'm not so sure if everybody else agrees with me on this, but I certainly do think that. And if he makes this squad, that means he's really good, y'all. Like let's put it that way.
Yes, can I throw something on your plate, and I need you to chop this up with me. Scottish Bear is saying Carl Jones is an absolute dog. He's everywhere, very instinctual. Same thing I saw on tape, Scottish Bear. Exactly the same things I saw on tape. Here's what I'm gonna throw at you, kid. I'm gonna put this meat on your plate. We're gonna chop this up. In a world that we get out of this training camp or get towards the end of this training camp, and we don't feel like we have the starting edge rusher that we've been looking for, and we need to sign a veteran, or we need to make a trade before the season starts. If we get into that situation, let's just say that we really love Carl Jones Jr. And let's just say teams are calling about, let's just say, what's your favorite linebacker, number 57? Do you entertain those conversations? I'm not trying to piss nobody off. I'm just throwing this out here as a conversation piece.
Well, you don't do that for no good reason. That's all. Like, if somebody is calling the trade for Jack Sanborn and they're offering you a viable draft capital or human capital, I would be interested in the conversation. But the flip side to that is we're not paying him a lot. So, there's just as much value in holding on to him. But then again, we might be getting close to his contract situation. I think he might be up for contract next season. Interesting. Like I say, Carl Jones Jr. would have to play with his hair on fire. I'm being for real about that. We're talking Sanborn, but we still got to know a Sewell in the mix here too. We got a bunch of guys, and not everybody's getting on the field as it stands in that linebacker room. I don't know. But again, an embarrassment of riches, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue to have one of the better linebacking cores in the league. If he makes it past folks that we've actually spent draft capital on, I'll be impressed. That's an impressive feat to me.
So Brian, I want to speak to Brian's point. He said not for Sanborn, for maybe Sewell. Here's why I would counter that point. A good point, but here's why I would differ with what you're saying. It's because Noah Sewell doesn't have NFL value right now. Because nobody's really seen Noah Sewell be an impactful player at the NFL level yet. We know what he can do in college. We saw his tape was out freaking standing. But in this world that eventually Noah Sewell is, if they keep him, which I know they will, is going to get some snaps and is going to need to play. You're going to have to trim the linebacker. And guess who has value in the trade market? Guess who? I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just throwing out the particulars out there because this is real talk when you're talking NFL football, NFL rosters, and NFL salary caps. If they need a player and they feel like they're extra at a certain position, which I think we are at the linebacker position, who gets to ask? Who has the most value on the trade market? And that's Jack Sanborn. Unfortunately, I love Jack Sanborn. The way he plays football, I love it. I love Noah Sewell too. But if they like Carl Jones Jr., they have got to make a way to keep him on the team. And how do you do that? And so that's the question.
You crazy, bro.
I'm just saying. I'm saying something that's unrealistic.
I'm just saying this guy comes out there and performs every single week. It has to be one more time. It has to be there has to be a viable return on investment here, right? The upside with Sanborn is that he's a free agent again. He's an undrafted free agent. They didn't put something into him. If they can get something out of what they've developed, good on the Bears at the end of the day, right? Especially before you have to really sign him to a long-term contract and pay the guy. Kind of like I was going to say like what they did with Kwiatkowski, but they didn't get anything for Kwiatkowski. You know what I'm saying? Like they developed him, let him go, and he went off and he
all you got to do is say,
right?
"No, man, what you talking about don't make a lick of sense." That's all.
I share
Doesn't make no sense, bro.
Okay.
I think you guys are missing the boat, though. I think Bears kept last year, I think, 5 linebackers. So at a minimum, they're going to keep 5 linebackers this year. So the question isn't Sanborn or Sewell. It's that other guy they just brought in this year. I forgot what the name of the linebacker was. He's the one, whether or not Jones will beat him out.
Are you talking about Baxterville?
No, he's talking about Paul Maola.
Somebody's going to end up on the practice squad, PJ.
I have a feeling they really like Baskerville. A great special
Baskerville.
teamer, good coverage linebacker.
He's on the team, guys. Like I would hate to say it, but he might not be taking. He might not see very many snaps outside of injury, but special teams value. Micah Baskerville's all over the field, and like I'm sure everybody here can attest to that. He is. I would be very surprised if he doesn't make the team.
So Cliff just made the probably the most pertinent point is through the channel by which that guy makes the team is basically special teams. That's what Cliff is saying right there. And that's pretty much how he gets there. 5 linebackers. I didn't know they kept 5 linebackers last year. So that makes it a little bit more interesting to me. I just think, man, we're rich at linebacker, right? We're rich at linebacker. We feel rich at defensive back, right? So eventually 1 or 2 of these guys are gonna go. Whether we want to see it that way or not, these guys don't stay their careers on one team. If they have value and the team is at a point of need, and they want to address a need, if the right team is calling and they're calling for a certain player, guess what? Certain players, you have to consider that. I'm not saying they move on a Jack Sanborn trade at all. I'm just throwing that out there as a conversation piece, and I knew it would get like this, and this is good content right here. So now we're going to move in the DB department where I live, damn it. This is my department. Man, I'm like that dude on Martin, man. The dude with the tight suit with the big, the old man. I'm all over the place. You ain't getting nowhere. I'm Otis, boy. When it comes to QBs, you're gonna have to get through me, boy. So number
Wait, hold on, Nomad. Before you get there, Kay in the comments saying the other linebacker that they signed to that 2-year deal is Amen Agbanmiga,
that guy
who's a
right
special teams guy.
there. That guy right there.
Right.
Say it
And
again.
so
Say it again.
Agban, wait, oh shit, now you got me all fucked up. Agbanmiga.
Say it.
Agbanmiga.
I'm not gonna correct you.
It's Omega G. I always
You
thought it
run
was
with
Omega G.
Omega G. You run with it.
I'm
like
on Omega G. That's all I've been hearing.
KQ said he had to copy and paste that shit.
Yeah, it's like the announcers are gonna be like really enunciating carefully this year.
Amen.
Man.
Yeah. So,
All right, go ahead with your DBs.
Yeah. All right. So we going to number 20. Number 20, who is Leon Jones. I don't expect everybody to know everything about Leon Jones, so I'll just pass it to you, Trip. See where you go with it.
I don't know a damn thing about Leon Jones, except he got a nice name, like he's from the hood, Leon Jones. And so, you know, if he live up to his name, he's all good. And DB wise, you know,
That's great. That's good.
you know, there's a not a lack of depth, but you know, you look at the lower end of the DB room or the cornerbacks specifically, and there's openings there that if he can play, he can make it. You know, if not practice squad, you know, but I can't really speak on him because I don't know much. J2K.
Yeah, he was the guy we picked up after we tried to sign this wide receiver who ended up going to Minnesota. And then we picked up Leon Jones. So I know he was kind of secondary on the list of UDFAs we're looking at. He's got good length. He's got a pretty good size, some short area quickness, but not a lot of long speed. With this cornerback room and the next guy we're going to talk about, it's a huge uphill battle for him. What do you think, DJ? Have you watched him at all?
Yeah, I have nothing on him. I know he's like 6'1", 195 out of Arkansas State, so I don't think he has much big game experience. So I see him as pretty much a camp body. What you got, Dutch?
I got nothing to say. I plead the first.
The first.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Not the fifth. I honestly I don't. I'm just gonna echo Triple R and say if he's good in the hood, I'm good with him. So we'll leave it there. I don't. Again, if there and we've talked about a lot of tight rooms tonight. If there's a tight room to get into, this is another one here. Like we got some depth in the defensive back department. I like the other guy who I believe we'll wind up talking about a little bit later on. Yeah, I like the next guy a little bit better than this guy. So I would be very surprised if he could squeeze his way into this crowd again.
So I think this conversation steers towards the way of who's the guy you beat if you make the team. And so this is what I know about Leon Jones. He looks more he's more 6'2" than he is 6'1", and he's 195 pounds. Who does that remind you of? Terrell Smith, right? Except Terrell Smith was a little bit heavier than him. This cat is absolutely sticky in coverage. He is very, very sticky in coverage. And, you know, somebody like Jalen Joneses of the world, you know, those are the guys that have to worry when you got a guy with the length and the sticky kind of tendencies that this guy has. Man, he's big, he's long, and he covers well. He closes well. What I mean by closes, when the ball is in the air and he's at a distance, he closes that gap on the ball with that length and size. That's very valuable to a coach. Does he have a chance to make this team? I would say I would say if he makes some plays in this preseason, he puts himself in that conversation to make it difficult for the coaches. How about that? That's all you want is for this training camp to end in a way, because remember, guys, this is going to be one big huge cut. It's going to be one big huge cut down, and you just want to make it difficult for the coaches to look at you and your body of work and say, you know what, we like this guy. Well, what are we going to have to do to keep this guy? Does he have the skill set? Does he have the traits? He has them. He has them. We have a couple of guys that just came into this DB room. These new guys. There's a couple of them that exhibit those traits. The next guy we're going to talk about absolutely has them. But I'm telling you, do not sleep on Leon Jones. The length, the size, and his closing ability and being able to make plays on the ball is something that stuck out to me. It's going to be someone like Jalen Jones, who has a new number this year. He's not 31, he's 21.
So do you like this guy more than you like Jalen Jones?
I know. I cannot say that because I've seen Jalen Jones in action. Jalen Jones has real NFL experience. No, I cannot say that.
Okay.
But does he have the traits that I see in DBs to be able to give Jalen Jones a run for his money? The only difference in this guy and Jalen Jones can jump into the slot. And that makes him a little bit more valuable than Leon Jones. I wouldn't put Leon Jones in the slot, unless it's on a tight end or something like that. And you have to, and that's now you're talking about playing some backup safety or something like that. But he is 6'2", 195. And so consider that, that's why I think this is going to be a very interesting camp, man. It's because we don't know what they see in these guys and how they want to play him. Did they bring him in as a corner, a boundary corner? Or did they bring him in to challenge the depth at safety? I don't know. We won't know until preseason, until this OTAs. And so we don't know. I'm just going to say the guy has some measurables that I really like. He has some traits about him that I really like. And I'm not going to count him out until I see him with the pads on and see how he works. So I'll just say that about Leon Jones, and we'll get to, I think, a guy that everybody is very, very excited about trips, and that's Reddy Stewart, cornerback out of Troy, number 46, I believe.
Yeah, see, now that's somebody who it looks like they targeted from the Hula Bowl, at least on. And, he was the only negotiation, between the Bears and him that, they were a match made in heaven, so to speak. So between, and Kay put it in the chat there, between Jalen Jones, Josh Blackwell, and Stroman Jr., one of them three ain't coming back because they've been here for a few seasons now, and it's like we know what they are. And if between Leon Jones or more than likely Reddy Stewart is going to be one of their replacements. So I could see Stewart making the squad over one of them on the back end of the DB room. Kids, you're up.
Yeah. I really like Reddy Stewart. Reddy Stewart brings a lot of special teams value. He stays in your pocket. I liked his tape quite a bit. I can see why they threw him a little bit of cash too. They threw him a little bit of guarantee as well on his little UFTA. I can see why they did it. I think he's going to crack this roster. I'm just not sure who the guy we let go is. I think Jalen Jones also makes this roster because, again, there's not a lot of dollars and cents tied to him. It's probably one of the other two guys. I'm not going to get into safety side of things, but it's probably one of the other two guys that gets let go. I think Reddy Stewart does make this team, y'all. I'll say that right now. PJ, what do you think?
I like what his measurable is looking at, 5'11", 178 or so. I think he'd be in competition for the backup nickelback between Stroman and the other guy. I forget his name. Blackwell. I think he'd be in competition with them for the backup, but he seems like he got some feistiness to him. So I'm curious to see him in camp He'll be one of the ones I'm really curious to see in camp and see how he comes along. What you got, Notch?
Yeah, he's got really, really good ball skills, and he closes real well. I just see him as a very intriguing corner. See him more in the slot. I agree because of his size a little bit, but I just really like how he closes, and I can see him probably play more zone than he would man, just because his weight's a little bit lower than what I like to see, but he's just got really good coverage skills, and I'm really intrigued by him, and hope he makes the team.
Yeah, I think I want to share in all the optimism you guys have and all the points you're making. There's a lot to love from this kid's tape. I do think, and just to be fair, I do think there are some size, height, weight, long speed limitations to him. So he's strictly a slot cornerback, special teams ace. That's where he's going to build a living in the NFL. And I am optimistic about him. Just, man, can I say it? We got the best secondary in the NFL, right?
It's deep.
So,
Hey.
I mean, even
I ain't
even
gonna argue with you.
right? Even Jalen Jones and Blackwell and Stroman, I thought played well when their number was called.
Yeah, top 5 for sure.
Yeah, and Reddy Stewart is gonna, we're hoping that he jumps one of those guys. Man, that is tough competition. I wish the best for Reddy Stewart. I'm hoping he does. I think the kid's got some game. I think he's a dog out there. The ball finds him. Absolutely. He finds the ball. Let's be fair. So I'm very optimistic about Reddy Stewart. I just think, man, that is a stacked room right there.
So I'm gonna take you guys into my world. Boy, I'm about to go in my bag and give all you motherfuckers Christmas gifts right now. Everybody gets one. I'm tossing them out to everybody in the chat, everybody on the show. Let me tell you something. They got to steal here. And I'm gonna take away my Bears fandom, take away my Bears gear, put all that shit to the side for right now. For what I'm about to tell you right now. And so I heard J2K mention, he does have a height, weight, and speed, dilemma going on. Guess who else has that? And it's probably going to be in the damn Hall of Fame because his numbers give to that. And that is Stephon Gilmore. You know why Stephon Gilmore is better than your average corner and still playing at probably about 34, 35 years old? I don't know exactly how old he is, but for a corner, that's pretty old. You know what I mean? It's because the ball skills, the quick twitch. You can tell that he puts the work in on film to know exactly what he's looking at. This kid, I'm telling you, Stephon Gilmore is absolutely confident, and I see the exact same traits in Reddy Stewart. This guy knows. I mean, I'm telling you, when I look at a corner, there are certain things I look for. Feet, number one. I'm always looking at the bottom up. Does he have the feet? Does he have the quick twitch to be able to close on the ball when it's in the air? He has that in spades. Is he confident? He has that in spades. Does he find his way to a ball? He has that in spades. I am telling you, I don't know who was doing the recruiting on this cat and why, just because he was at Troy, he fell off so many people's board. I think it's due to what J2K was alluding to. Maybe his long speed or maybe his weight. I think his weight is more of a important conversation than any of the rest of it. He's like 174 pounds. It's going to be hard for him to hold on to that for the first couple of 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? Until his body starts to mature. But I am telling you, they have gotten a ball hawk stud with quick twitch ability to be able to make plays exactly like Stephon Gilmore. I am very confident in this kid, and I believe this kid is going to take someone's job. I'm not talking about Leon Jones. I ain't talking about what I think he might be versus. Look, Reddy Stewart is ready. If they give him an opportunity, he's going to take someone's job. If he stays healthy, he's going to take someone's job. He's got the skill set and the traits to do it and the confidence. I'm telling you, they found the stud in Reddy Stewart. It's about whether or not, the rest of the Bears fan base, it's going to be a amount of time before y'all see it the way I'm seeing it. But if he doesn't get hurt and he stays healthy throughout this training camp, that MF is going to be on this team. I'm telling you, right now, he's a stud. He's a stud DB. Just putting it out there. So who's the next guy?
Jonathan Owens. Do not call him Mr. Biles. He's a safety. He's got experience from he was with the Packers, right?
Yes.
And he came in, he makes, a lot of plays, and between Brisker going down like every other goddamn play, and Hicks just being way too light in the ass, Owens has a clear route to make the roster. I don't think he would come in and just start right away, but he would be like the second string guy that's ready to come in and start if necessary. Kids?
He's your backup box safety. That's what he is. I think he does the job. Quite frankly, I'm sure you guys remember the games against the Packers last season. And he put on 2 dirty hits on Justin Fields in 2 separate games. I just put that out there. At least we know he's going to put some hits on people regardless. So I think he makes a squad. I wouldn't even question it. They put a fair investment into him. They didn't mess around and take time and wait and waste conversation over whether they were going to go out and get him. They went and got him immediately early after the season was over. So I expect him to be rocking and rolling as that backup box. That's me. PJ?
The fact that he hit Fields late twice, that's reason enough to cut him. But no, I think he is our third safety, and he will be our third safety throughout the year. I see him making the team and being a solid contributor for us because, like Triple R said, Brisker goes down hurt every so often, so he'll be starting a few games for us for sure.
I think he's a great addition. He's got playoff experience. We got a 2-for-1 because his wife is a good for our fan base. I think he moves the needle. He's a great addition to the team. And what I was getting at before at the beginning of the show is it's good to have some of these seasoned veterans sprinkled in to all these different groups, all these different rooms. And I'm glad we have them. And Brisker goes down now and then too. Sometimes he can't cover a tight end. So it's good to have another reliable safety in there. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is they're going to change, I think, the safety position on this defense now, where one safety is going to play on the left, one's going to play on the right, and they're not going to flip-flop like they did last year. So I think that's going to disguise our coverage, and the offense isn't going to know who's going to blitz, who's going to, if we're going to go man, we can disguise a lot more in this defense. So that's another thing that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I think he's a great signing, and this is what I really like about Poles is that he's really focusing on all the different tiers of a roster, and this is a signing that is a great backup to Byard and Brisker. Maybe pushes Hicks, but between the 4 of those guys, I think that's a very good safety room. So I like it, and just a shout out to Jigsaw. Thank you for going after Don Burr. I know our secondary loves them some Jared Goff, and we'll be sending him some Christmas presents come December. So appreciate you hanging out in the chat, Jigsaw.
So yeah, Richard Long, to you, yes, he's absolutely Jaquan Brisker's insurance. Jaquan is everybody loves Jaquan Brisker, man. Everybody's got high hopes, and when he's healthy, he's right, man. He can play, and that's the big elephant in the room, man. You can't go into a season and go and push for something significant when you don't have your key guys out there on the field and ready to play. Jaquan comes up hurt, and I love Jaquan Brisker. I love to have him on the show one of these days. I'll be working hard in the back channels trying to make all that stuff happen. But man, availability is your best ability. And Jonathan Owens provides. He's a tackling machine. He is a tackling machine. This guy makes plays when they're in his area. You know what I mean? When the ball comes his way and he needs to shut down a play, the buck stops with him. Jonathan Owens, I can say that about him. He's got pretty good range. And I'm talking about by range, I mean from, going from left to right, going across the field. Got pretty good closing speed and range. But yes, if you need, and I know that's why they got Jonathan Owens, to push Jaquan Brisker. You have to look at all of this, every last single one of these players on this list that we're talking about. Every single one of them was brought here to bring competition. You want fierce competition. You want it just like Ryan Post said it. Make it difficult for these guys to make this team. Put them in a situation where even your starters, it's a handful of starters on the offensive side or the defensive side that don't really have anything to worry about. We can name them if you want. But everybody else, they're going to get pushed. Nobody's going to push DJ. Nobody's going to push Caleb. Nobody's going to push, Keenan Allen or anything like that. Nobody's going to push Tremaine. Nobody's going to push TJ Edwards or Kevin Byard. Everybody else, and Jalen Johnson. Everybody else, Tyreek Stevenson. But everybody getting pushed. And
There's no way Brisker getting pushed, dog. Brisker, they put a second round pick on Brisker. He didn't get pushed.
Brisker's getting
I have to shut that down right now.
They signed in the offseason, man.
Fun.
You know how many safeties they signed? We didn't even talk about I think what's his name? Tre'Davious. We didn't even talk about Tre'Davious Moore.
The thing about Brisker is that he gets hurt. And the fact of the matter is, I'm let's be fair. I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it because he puts the wood out there. He puts the hits on. And when you put the hits on, sometimes you get hurt.
Yes.
It happens. Right? I'm not gonna sit here and knock the kid for doing the thing that we were upset with the other guy for not doing. Right? He goes out there, he puts the hits on, and unfortunately, once in a while, it turns into injury. So we needed to have a backup, and I think John Owens is a perfect backup solution in that situation. Do I think he's putting pressure on Brisker? Not at all. I think Brisker's job is rock solid, safe.
I'm not saying he's going to take anybody's job. What I'm saying is he's there to push him. Okay, I got to ask.
He's a second round pick, bro. I think he's square, and I think he winds up getting a good
pushing him doesn't mean he's going to take his job. It means it's amplifying basically amplifying his play because he knows he has legitimate, competition behind him. It doesn't mean he's taking his job. Pushing him means
I'm not saying he's taking his job. I think Brisker is going to turn out to be a bit of a leader in that secondary, and we haven't seen it yet. I think he's going to take on a bit of a leadership role outside of Jalen Johnson, really holding down that cornerback position.
Yeah, well, Mike Brown was a leader too, but what happened to his career?
Yeah, that's fair.
So PJ, I wanted to ask you this, man, because you know how I see Jaquan Brisker, and I'm not thinking of his name right now, but I know you're going to help me out when I say this. I think Flu sees him as number 37 for the Patriots Super Bowl winning team.
Harrison.
Rodney Harrison, right?
Rodney Harrison, yes.
I think they see him in that light.
Yeah, I think Brisker is a good player, and I think the issue with him is, like we said, is his injury. And I think what Kids is saying so much as far as pushing him to take better care of his body, pushing him to stay on the field, because he knows that, hey, if you keep on missing these games, we got this Mr. Owens right here ready to take your place. So take care of your body, sir.
That makes sense. I'm with you.
How many games can you think about and recall that Rodney Harrison missed? Every time they was out there, that son of a bitch was suiting up. What?
He was out there, and he was hitting hard too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even when he was in San Diego, he was hitting hard, laying the wood there. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, with Brisker has that long, lankier body. He's not as compact as Rodney Harrison was. So I don't know if that's part to do with it, but yeah, his injury concern is concerning to me as a fan because I'm like, dude, because I'm like, I'm like Triple R, remembering the days of Mike Brown, and Mike Brown, I love Mike Brown, but he wasn't available, and your best ability is availability. What do you think, J2K?
So I actually really like what Ant Math put up in the chat talking about Bayard and how we're going to a left and right safety tandem instead of a strong and a free. And I think that Brisker's going to play a lot more free safety based on scheme and coverage than he has been. And it's going to keep him healthy. I don't have these concerns with Brisker being healthy going forward, just for the fact that he was in a position where he was with Bojack, he was constantly the box safety, and he played box
Cleanup
safety.
man.
He played basically linebacker.
Yeah.
Through his first 2 years in the NFL. So I actually really like the position that Bayard brings to Brisker. And I think he, cross my fingers, knock on wood, he's going to stay healthy. He's going to play a little more in coverage. And I'm excited to see him play a little more in coverage. He was a little rough at times as a rookie on where to be. I kind of remember these quarter, half coverage schemes that he had to carry a deep over route and then getting a little turned around. But I think that was, his rookie year, and he's learned from that. He's grown from that. And I think the Bayard's a perfect complement to him.
So
That's going to be like Batman and Robin. That's the way I see it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so I think what's in my mind is in the same average Bears fan's mind. I'm still an average Bears fan with just an extra point of view from being a football player from that perspective. I think everybody notices when Jaquan Brisker lays it down on somebody, he always gets up and winds that shoulder. Anybody notice that? Anybody else? I know I'm not the only one that sees that.
Yep.
So I think that's part of the nerves here. And I think that might be part of the the process and the way of thinking the coaches might have been like, you know what, until he gets that membrane layer or that layer of meat on the shoulder, until he keeps that 10 pounds that we're trying to put on him in the off season. You know what I mean? It's going to hurt when he hits. I remember, what it's like being a light guy hitting big dudes. You know what I mean? It's a stinger. Seems like every time you make a crash bang play. It hurts. It absolutely hurts. And you get up and that's how you feel. You just trying to work that feeling back into your shoulder because it's a stinger and you can't really feel it. But sometimes with Brisker, it's more than that. You know what I mean? He came into the league with that brace that he wears on his shoulder from Penn State.
Yes.
And so these are things I think about when I think about Brisker. I think he's got all the talent in the damn world. I think he's going to be absolutely what they think he's going to be. I just hope that he's able to get through the attrition hurdle. You know what I mean? Get over the attrition hurdle and make sure he stays on that field and is available when they need him. So it's just concern. It's not me doubting his talent or doubting his ability. I doubt nothing when it comes to Jaquan Brisker.
Except a celebration.
What celebration? You don't like that, man?
I can't stand it, man. I can't stand it.
We got the whole secondary doing it now.
I hate it, man. I ain't gonna lie.
What is it,
I
man?
hate it.
What is it about that one?
It just looked weird to me, man. I'm like, dude, we are not the the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds, or whatever.
Hey,
like,
go huddle up, man. Go huddle
You know
up.
what he's trying to say? You know what he's trying to say?
What are you saying?
This is the no-fly zone.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No fly.
I thought he was being Nicky Woods.
Right.
Nah, he's just trying to say no fly zone. This whole secondary ain't nothing flying out here. But that's funny, DJ. All right. Hey, anybody else that y'all wanted to get on? Any players that I know where J2K wants to go, but we'll save his. Unless you want to go now, J2K, go ahead, man.
We're talking about blasting game.
Just ruin my night. Why don't you?
The blasting game? Oh, you're talking about Valus.
Now let's talk about blasting game first.
All right.
I want to see where y'all were going there.
Oh, see, I was excited.
Oh, shut up.
Well, let's talk about both. So, okay, all right. Blasting game absolutely is making this roster. I'm actually a little surprised at how many Bears fans think he won't make this roster. He absolutely fits the West Coast scheme. He's athletic, great receiver out of the backfield. He can play the F tight end. He can play the fullback. He can be a short yardage running back. He fits when you go and look at Shanahan, you look at McVay, what they've done with their fullbacks in time. Blasting game absolutely fits. If they were going to cut him and he didn't fit, they would have done it a long time ago. Anybody agree, disagree?
Yeah, I agree. And if with Shane Waldron, because of Blasting Game's versatility to do the, as J2K was saying, fullback, tight end, considering the tight ends that we have and the room, it kind of fits that he would be that utility versatile guy that they keep because of, a lot of 2 tight end sets, 3 tight end sets, or 2 tight ends, throw the fullback in there. He just adds that level of versatility because he can run, he can block, he can catch. He's on a good deal, so I don't see how you get rid of a guy like that for who?
Well, how many snaps would you pay? How many snaps are we talking about here? Because I think we're talking about 186 snaps for the season with Kari Blasting Game. Which to me, I just don't know if you're getting any sort of value from that. You're spending a couple $1 million here to keep this guy on the squad. He's rarely going to see the field.
But we signed Mercedes Lewis because he's a veteran. I would rather see Blasting Game out there than Lewis.
That's a great point. I think the opposite. I would probably rather go Mercedes Lewis than Blasting Game. He's gonna provide that extra protection to Caleb Williams on the left-hand side, or potentially on the right if it's required. But that's what his purpose is. I know what Mercedes Lewis is here for. I also know that Kari Blasting Game was here for about 186 snaps.
Is that just offense? You're not counting special teams?
I'm not so sure. That's the number that's out there, and I'm let's just hope. You know what I'm saying,
He's a huge special team guy. So
let's just hope that the special team snaps are not being counted here, right? Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say that there's special team snaps on top of that 186. But that 186 is a pretty low number of snaps to be.
Well, I could see it going up. If you looked at Shane Waldron in Seattle, how he used his tight ends, he didn't have a fullback. And he uses tight ends like fullbacks because he didn't have one. So now that he has a fullback, he's probably going to use his fullback like a fullback. Well, look at the 49ers with Youth Check and how much their offense runs through having a running back, a fullback, and a tight end on the field all the time, and they're an explosive offense.
Yeah.
DJ, what do you got?
I agree with what you're saying. When I've seen some of Seattle's offense, I've seen a lot of times they had 2 tight ends in the backfield with no threat of the run, which I found to be surprising because you knew they wasn't going to hand the ball off to either of the tight ends. I think what you can do with Blasting Game is having him in that backfield and still have the option of handing him off the ball so he can be appealing. But in his 3 years of being in Seattle, Waldron never had a fullback. So that makes me undecided because does he really want one? Because in 3 years, he never bothered to get one. Or is he really happy with just having tight ends? I don't know. I can see the use of having a fullback, but he's never gotten one, and that makes me curious. Like maybe he really don't want one.
Now, do you want a piece of this before I go?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to bring up Everett because he has experience running the ball. He's not super, super tall, but he's really versatile. He's intriguing to me that he's going to be probably in the backfield, probably more than any of the tight ends that they have. And, you know, he's a dual threat. He can run the ball. He can pass protect. So he's kind of like in between running a fullback and a tight end. And the other caveat I wanted to bring up, I looked this up before the show. The number one receiver on the current Bears roster that had the highest catch percentage per pass is Roshan Johnson with 85% catching rate per pass to him. So I can see him also as kind of like a receiver or a back in motion with two tight ends, because I've seen that in Waldrom's system, that he'll put a running back with two tight ends in the backfield, and then he'll put the running back in motion, and I can see him do that a lot with Roshan.
Let me go, Kaz, real quick, because Michael Copeland is making a pretty good point, and also Adam Mason makes a pretty good point, because history shows, if you look at the Shane Waldron offense, and it shows that it's not, and if you just solely looking at history, it doesn't reflect well for Kyrie Blasingame to be on this team. And if you just look at history and look at it singularly in that way, can you consider as a part of this ratio Flus and him demanding that we keep a fullback on this team? Number one. And number two is Michael Copeland makes this point. He says Kyrie Blasingame has to be a four-phase special teams player to make this roster, especially with him with the new kickoff rules.
And he is.
Yeah, he is.
When you consider it that way, with the new kickoff rules, because it's going to be more of a power game when it comes to the kickoff rules, right? Am I right or wrong? It's going to be more of a power game when it comes to that. It's a shorter field, and you need power. The speed guys aren't necessarily, they're important, but in that short area, you need power in order to open up holes. So
we're bringing the wedge back.
Yeah. So does that make, the fullback position different going into this situation now? Is what I want to ask you, kids. I know you want to talk.
The new kickoff rule across the board makes things a little bit shaky, right? Like they're gonna have to figure out what to do with that. If you really look at this roster, there's a whole bunch of guys who could be assigned to special teams. There's Symbol Webster, there is Ian Wheeler, there is, there's a pretty long list of guys. They're gonna try and figure out what that looks like. I'm not so sure that's what keeps Kyrie Blasingame on this team. I think what keeps Kyrie Blasingame on this team is what J2K's alluding, right? If we're saying that Shane Waldron has always been looking for a fullback to use, didn't have access to one, now he's got access to one, let's go. I just don't see that being the facts of the matter for a guy, again, who, thank you, Adam, shout out to you, a guy who's running 300, under 400 snaps per season.
Well,
I just don't see it.
Are we forgetting that Shane Waldron, now, a lot of people look at Seattle and Shane Waldron, and that's what he's going to do in Chicago. But I think we're forgetting about Shane Waldron with Shanahan and where Shanahan comes from, that West Coast offense, that run-heavy look that you pass out of, you play action out of, right? That's the classic West Coast offense. PJ, what you got?
Are you sure he was with Shanahan? I thought he was with McVay, but he was never with Shanahan.
He was with both.
Oh, he was with both? Okay.
Yeah, he had a much lower role with Shanahan, but he went Shanahan to McVay and then to Seattle, basically.
Okay, all right.
But still, McVay is still often West Coast offense guy.
Right.
So, I mean, you're talking the whole concept of the West Coast offense. I mean, just go back to like Joe Montana. and back in the day, right? This isn't the run and shoot, right?
Right.
So this is running back, fullback, tight end, 2 wide receivers, and we're still a threat in the passing game. We're showing a run offense. We're still a threat in the passing game. You look at Shanahan with Juszczyk. I think Shane Waldron is drooling at the concept of having Blasingame and Mercedes Lewis and Everett and Kmet for those run looks that we end up passing out of. I think he loves that concept. He just never had that in Seattle for whatever reason. And it's a fair point to say that maybe he never looked for that. I'm not sure. I just know the history of the West Coast offense through Shanahan and McVay. They do love that run-heavy look, and we're passing out of it concept.
I tell you this, J2K, this team has a specific profile to be a real nose buster when it comes to running this ball. If they, this is a rookie quarterback, and we got to always remember that, even with all these expectations that we have on them. This team has the traits and the profile to be a absolute nose busting running game offense. And so the pieces that they have, he just alluded to them. Mercedes Lewis, if they keep a fullback, and they've got big tight ends, plus they have a nice move tight end in Gerald Everett. And so, hey man, this is set up in a way so that a rookie quarterback can eat. He can grow. He can lean on the power of this running attack to be able to really carry what they want to do offensively. And that's a good thing for him, man, because he's going to need it. Because as good as he is, and as talented as he is, Caleb Williams, he's going to need that aspect of what they do to really carry him until he gets his bearings and his sea legs about him. And I just like that, man. We want to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff, but in respect to PJ's got to get some stuff done. And we've been on here for 2.5 hours, and we've given you some great content. What a hell of a conversation. It was all kinds of nuance to it, man. It's all kinds of ways to think about this training camp and these players that's going to be involved in it. And, the fans have all these expectations. We all are fans too, even though we do podcasts. We all have expectations. But to put the whole thing into terms that, this player has this particular chance and why is what we did throughout this whole show. Whether it was a UDFA, whoever it was, whether we're going to keep a fullback, all that kind of stuff is important to talk about. And we got plenty more to come behind this conversation. And we're going to keep it interesting like we always do at the Nomad Network. But we got to get ready to get out of here out of respect for my guy, PJ. And I appreciate him for being on here with us tonight. And also, Naj, we're going to go around the horn right quick and give some pleasantries before we get ready to get out of here.
All right. Nomad, J2K, kids, Brian, the whole Nomad at Night and the Nomad Live crew. Thanks for having me back. Nice to be here with everybody. Check me out on all the social medias and the YouTube channel, Sports Chicago Style, and also the .com with that. And big up to everybody that's already subscribed and commenting. I see you, Plank, eating all good and shit. And thanks. Oh, and I got one real question, real quick for everybody. One word answer. But I saw that Braxton Jones and Tyreek Stevenson were in a competition. Do you call it bags or do you call it cornhole, kids?
Cornhole.
PJ?
No, that's what they call it in Canada, man.
I have no idea.
We don't really mess with it. It ain't picked up here yet. I'm sure. Like, right now, it's being outpaced by pickleball. So take it for what it is.
Oh man, you messing around with Mark Carmen, man. Y'all over there with Mark Carmen playing pickleball and shit.
They curling and stuff too. Like they got all kinds of ridiculous, silly, sideways games to play.
Mayhem said cornholio.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep this rated G. I'm just gonna call it CH. And but I will shout out that Don Burr, your Motor City Kitties, are going to go 0-2 against the Monsters of the Midway. You heard it here first. And FGB, thanks for having me.
You a bunch of rookies, man. Anybody that's done it, that's rookie terms. Cornhole, man. It's bags.
No, it's absolutely cornhole.
It's
I
bags.
think Adam
bro.
Mason's correct. It's a West Coast thing. It's cornhole, and I love cornhole. It maybe hasn't picked up for you guys, but man, I used to play cornhole in the office. We had cornhole in the alleyway. In between breaks, we'd play around a cornhole. So yeah, and I'm good at it too. So get me on your team if we ever meet up.
I need TP for my ball.
Go ahead, kid.
TP for my ball. It's like Office Space when he was like, "You go into the joint, watch a cornhole."
He loved that one. This guy, all Mike Judge stuff. All Mike Judge. Anyways, hey, I know we got to get flying out of here. Just give a little bit of love to the guys who came out and saw us today. KQ, Cornelius Squalls, Brian Hendren, what it do, Santa Claus, Mr. Mayhem, It's Crimson, no love to Don Burr as per normal in the chat. Our guy Adam Mason, thanks for showing up. Thanks for giving us a little bit of help as we went through the show today. It's appreciated. At Mas, my guy Triple R right beside me, sports Chicago style. Please pay him some respect and love at his channel. J2K's with us here. My guy PJ came and represented with us, which was a blast. What up, the Nudge? Thanks for hanging out. Again, very cool to kick it with my guy PJ and my guy Triple R. It's always fun. AC Adam, Cornelius Squalls, Scottish Bear, Joseph Belinsky. I think I got the vast majority of you guys. Oh, Bear Truth 9 and Jigsaw and Plank, #1 No Maniac Plank. We'll call it a day, you guys. Let's call it a weekend, and we'll see you there next week. Nomad? J2K?
No, it's on Notch. Oh, no. We
got a little bit of love.
PJ.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to Nomad and J2K for inviting me on. Appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. I enjoyed myself. Love hanging out with you again, K. It's Triple R. Nice hanging out with you, Naj. I want to give a shout out to my guys at BCP, being Shorty, Foster, and Carl. We have a good time over there on Thursday nights. If you guys get a chance, come check us out. The guys in the chat, all the ones who be over there in our chat, I appreciate seeing you guys here, and I appreciate your support. Thanks again, guys, for having me.
Go ahead, Notch. Go show him that background again, Notch. Love it.
My Monster of the Midway flag.
Yeah. Love it, man. Absolutely.
And I got my UW dog up above me, number 57, Olin Krutz. So, yeah.
That's
welcome to my world, everybody. Bear down. Thanks for having me.
That's true Bears fandom for your ass. I love it.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Hey,
Had a
we
blast.
will have you back again soon, man. Soon. So you won't be somebody that's not regular, man. Trust me, man. I think you should come back again and again, man. Naj, we thank you for being here. But go ahead, JT.
Well, appreciate you having me on, and looking forward to hearing some other people from the chat invited in here as well. Get to know everybody.
You hear that, Plank? You hear that, Plank? We need you, man. We need you, Plankster.
Anybody on with us Sunday night Bears football.
Just a little bit, J2K. Start over.
Okay. Hang out with us on a show and hit them up. We'd love to have you on. Tonight, the chat was raw. PJ, one of my favorite human beings. Podcast on Thursday. So informative. To talk with
J2K.
Triple R. Yes.
You broke up quite a bit. I'm gonna give you a chance
Got
to
that Elon Musk internet over there, don't you?
just
Yeah,
probably
my
sit
stuff's kind of
down,
busted.
just move a little bit and see if it helps, man. Or if not, I'll pick up the slack.
Well, all right. Triple R, you're a legend. I love you. Chicago um, sports, Chicago style. Check out his channel. He's awesome. He has a brilliant mind. I will say that much. Check out his videos. It's absolutely fantastic. PJ, if I cut out too much while everyone's listening, apologize. I love you. Appreciate you. To the Naj, I'm so glad you joined tonight and are part of the Nomaniac crew. And to anybody else who wants to join in, you guys are all welcome. Brian, you're awesome. Oh, we got your computer coming. It's coming soon, buddy. We got you. To everybody else, thank you. Have a wonderful week. I appreciate all. Thank you.
Hey, this is the People's Bears podcast, man. This is for the people, man. This is for the community. This is why we do it, man, to include everybody, anybody that we can, anybody that's out there that really wants to, give themselves an opportunity in this podcasting world. This is one of those shows that we created to help you do that. It's a diving board, is what Nomad at Night is. We come here and we talk about football, and we hope we gave you the content that you were looking for the last 2.5 something hours. Hopefully, we got into the nuanced details of what you were looking for in Bears content for the last 2.5 hours. Hopefully, it fit and measured up to what you were looking for. But also, what we are here for is to open up it's an exploratory phase of making sure that people that want opportunities to come and join a network and be a part of what we do, or just give yourself a chance in this community, and you just think maybe you don't have podcast live show chops, or you don't think you do. Maybe you have some kind of skill set that you think you can offer to what we do. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just be supportive. Whatever way you want to contribute to what we do here and help build this community, we'll welcome you. All you have to do is have a good spirit. That's all you need. Just have a good, positive spirit and be willing to work with people and be understanding of everybody. And I guarantee you, you'll find yourself a home around here, because that's what we all are. Everybody that you see here, this is a good spirited people. Every last one of them. Every single last one of them, or you wouldn't see them here. I wouldn't affiliate with them, and I don't think they'd affiliate with me if I wasn't a good spirited person. And so that's what you're walking into. So if you think you have podcasting chops and you want to give yourself a chance, and I say it to people all the time, reach out. Just reach out. Sometimes we reach out to people without you reaching out, like we did to Naj today. And so give yourself a chance. Maybe you have technical skills you can bring to the table. That helps too. We're just trying to grow as a community. That's all we're trying to do. And so I just want to thank everybody for being here and making themselves a part of what we're doing here tonight, man. I hope you got the content that you were looking for tonight, because it was fun. It was absolutely fun seeing PJ, Trip, the Naj, everybody here, man. Kids, J2K. This was a fun show. I absolutely had a good time with all these people here tonight. This wasn't work. This is absolutely fun. Chopping it up and seeing how everybody thinks about everything that we do here, man. And so I'm talking to you guys, trying to look for our outro. Well, give me just a couple of seconds and I'll find it. Hold on.
And if anybody wants to just come hang out with us, you guys are more than welcome to. Just one show, be a guest. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for that, J2K, for filling in, man. I appreciate that. But, man, love you guys, man. This was a fun show, and we will be back Tuesday. We'll be back Tuesday with Nomad Live. Yes, we have pared it down for those who unsubscribe. I've seen a few that unsubscribe, and that's probably based on the fact that you haven't seen the amount of content that you've gotten yourself used to. So what we did, we decided to put it at scheduled shows Tuesday and Sunday. Why? Is because the season is coming up. You're going to get all kinds of impromptu shows, because it's going to be breaking news after breaking news after breaking news. You're going to get all kinds of podcasts, and you won't be missing anything. So set your notification bell and know when it's time to go live, and you'll see us. So for all those that didn't like the show, please stop and go do us that favor, man. Please. That's just a kind thing to do for people that work hard to bring you these podcasts. And that's my only message there. But if you are so kind, please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not. We can really use your help because we do want to get to 2,000 subs before the training camp starts. So with that being said, I just want to thank you guys one more time. Thank everybody, Trips, Kids, J2K, Naj, and PJ, man. Thank you guys for being here. I love all y'all, man. This is so much fun. And thank you guys last time in the chat. Thank you for being here. And for everybody that can hear my voice or a part of this chat, I'm going to leave you with this message right quick. If you can think it, you can damn sure see it, and you can manifest it. With that being said, peace out. We out of here, y'all.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.